TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the planet. Let me go ahead and say here and now, we are not in the mood for your talking about us being late. AP, does anything that just happened make any sense at all?
No, that's why it's so funny.
Yeah, so basically every time we go live, something's out of sync. And then so we troubleshoot, and there's like 10 different things it could be. And then so we do all those things. And today it was none of those things. The internet was simply not working on my desktop, but was working on my laptop right beside it, even though this one's plugged directly into the router. And anyway, laptop's just Wi-Fi, so I switched the desktop to Wi-Fi. Still doesn't work. Still didn't work. Anyway, then all of a sudden it just randomly started working again when I was about to change the cable. Anyway.
I just find it funny when somebody else has problems instead of me, So.
Well, it's just weird because we didn't have these problems 5 years ago, and we were on way cheaper equipment. We had slower internet. We would occasionally have problems and stuff, but not, it's like always like this now. It's weird. Weird stuff. We will crush all of you. Death Mino says no Ethernet. Yeah, that's what it is. I have a cable. I had a cable plugged in over there. It's plugged into the thing in the wall. And then I have Wi-Fi that goes to my laptop. And anyway. Yeah, it's annoying. Hey, so we're going to check out this this debate between 4 Muslim women and 4 Christian women. Want to say here ahead of time, we don't need any of you perverts making jokes. Because I already saw them started before the show. I thought, is there gonna be a mud wrestling section? We don't need those silly jokes.
Wait, there is no such section?
Nope. And we don't need is this part gonna be, why don't they do this in bikinis in a pool of jello? We don't need any of these silly jokes. The only jokes that are appropriate, as always, are zut jokes, and only about Muhammad.
Nice. Meanwhile, I'm working on my Zut Train song. It's coming along very, very nicely. It's going to be done soon.
Zoot, zoot. Is that why you sent me that train whistle noise earlier?
Yes. I made a train whistle noise that sounds like zoot zoot. It goes zoot zoot.
Yeah, so AP's got his Zoot song coming out. Zoot Train, all aboard the Zoot Train.
Yeah.
So AP, did you check out this women debate? It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Because like I always wondered, hey, why aren't there more debates among women? I know guys on average are more aggressive with this kind of stuff, but lots of sharp women out there. So why aren't they debating? And all of a sudden, turns out there is such a thing.
Yeah, I don't know where this came from. This channel just started recently getting a lot of traction of this one woman, Dr. Daff, and she's now hosting these debates. And I believe it's mostly from a Christian perspective. I have seen 2 of these videos that popped up. One was Christian women versus Jewish women, and one was Christian women versus Muslim women. The thing is, I thought that they had a very poor choice of opponents. Like, the Christian women were all right Christian women. But then, for example, with the Christian women versus Jewish women, they just picked a bunch of barely religious or non-religious secular Jews. Don't want to attack anybody now. But when it comes to the Muslim women, I think, as far as I have seen, they have also picked ones that are not very much devoutly, traditionally religious or something. So,
yeah. So does that channel, do they just do debates between women? That would be interesting if there was a whole channel that just did women debating.
As far as I can see, yeah, every single debate is only between women.
Huh. Hey, look. The usual suspect, Jeremy Crawford. Meow, cat fight. I literally just said we don't need all the jokes. We don't need, cat fight. We don't We don't need, ooh, maybe they'll start kissing each other. We don't need any of that stuff, man. Zut jokes are the only appropriate jokes, and only about Muhammad. Like, for instance, someone beforehand said, okay, well, it's 4 Muslim women versus 4 Christian women, but what about 1 Muhammad versus 30 al-Zut? Okay, that's a funny joke. That is a tasteful, not childish, age-appropriate joke that everyone can find amusing. Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, here it is right here. Look. Even before I said it. See that? Look. 1 Muslim man versus 30 Zut men. Hey, the other day I came up with an idea for a video game, everyone, and then AP told me that I can actually get it made. But we're gonna have it's gonna be Muhammad versus al-Zut, and you start off and you're Muhammad, and then there's all the Zut, and they're trying to get you. And Muhammad seems like he was a willing participant in all of this, but the game kind of won't work unless the Zut are chasing him, and then they mount him and stuff like that and ride him around, and then he can maybe escape, and then he runs, and then they jump on him again and mount him and ride him for a while, and haven't decided what would make you the winner in this, because
we did already come up with a name, which is Call of Zuti.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which somebody commented in the live chat.
Yeah, so I watched. I was in the airport. I was in the airport last night at LAX, and I watched maybe the first 20, 25 minutes or so. They were talking about the doctrine of original sin, and they just started talking about whether Islam is true, and that's when I had to board. Not in the way the Zut boarded Muhammad, but I had to board the plane. And so that's what I've seen, but we're going to go ahead and check this out, and we'll get through some of this. Take these first couple super chats, and then we will jump into this debate. Late D
Not
Wood.
Like the Zut jumped it.
Come on. I thought of that too, man. I'm trying to keep it clean. Late D Wood. J.K. Rowling responded to your tweet. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that the other day.
Really? What tweet?
Oh, she posted something and I replied, and then she responded to my reply, and now I'm famous and she wants to put me in her new Harry Potter movie.
Oh, nice. You should reject.
Yeah. I'm too old. I keep telling her I'm too old to play Harry Potter. She's like, oh,
you should have responded to her response with, hey, I'm not interested. I don't want to be part of the Harry Potter world.
That'd be funny. Zooty man does whatever. Zooty man does whatever a Zooty can. Rides a mo all night long. They say he's Jin, but he's a Jack to him. It was Big Bang up in the desert. What's the hang up? The amazing Zooty man. I kind of lost the meter after a bit, but like where you're going with that. I was tempted to call into Walmart radio, say al-Zut. al-Zut aisle 5. Al-Zut aisle 5. You think Muhammad asked the al-Zut to be in bikinis, or he was in the bikinis? That was definitely him. The Zut were naked. Totally unfair matchup. 4 Christian women versus 2 Muslim women. Because they each have half a brain. I get it. That's messed up.
That's a good one.
I wonder if that ever came up in the debate. Yeah, shouldn't it be 8 of you Muslim women versus the 4 Christian women? Seth says Gaza has morphed into Hamas versus Klan civil war. Yep, AP's been posting about that. And oh man, and then of course we could have did breaking news, but you see that? They got Mr. Fafo, man.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad about that.
I know. It's like there was something funny about. I mean, he's pure evil, but there was something funny about the guy. Just like, I mean, it reminds me of Dawa, and that Dawa guys don't care like how much they're exposed as liars because their fans don't care. But he was like that. He's like, oh look, I'm a doctor, and oh I'm getting blown up, and then the next thing, oh I'm a movie producer, and the next thing, oh I'm the press, and the next thing, oh I'm this, and he was like, he had like a different job every single time, and then people start picking up on, wait, this is the same guy. This is the same guy in all these videos with all these different careers. He is the most interesting man in the world. And somehow he makes it all the way up until this first stage of the ceasefire and the peace deal, and then gets killed.
Yeah, so for all those who haven't caught on to it, who missed it.
Oh yeah, people don't know. People don't know. Huh.
Mr. Fafo is dead. He has been killed today, but not by Israel, but by other Palestinians. So, um, of course, it's very easy in Gaza to not die during the war, which is why the vast majority of Gazans went unharmed. But this guy was always in the middle of the scenes. Whenever something happened, he would come along with his camera and start pretending and doing things. The thing is, as much as he was funny, he was also very well known to be a clear Hamas supporter, and would run with them along and support them and inform them and so on. So. There are some rumors about what exactly happened, but one is that he was actually captured by an opposition group, by a clan, and the other is that he was in the middle of a fight between Hamas and that clan, and he got shot and died. So he's dead.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So Israel backs up across the Super Diddy line and so on, and these guys just start killing each other, and it's like, oh, great ceasefire, guys.
Very, very much.
Well, we lost one of the goats, man, one of the goats of Pallywood. As Mo loses horsepower, his pants ride down. What's wrong with people, man? People make no sense. AP, don't go to Israel and leave us here with Diddy. Too late.
I will.
What's better than a cat fight? A meow bahala fight. Meow bahala. Oh boy. Making him escape from Al Zut is good. It will make more people to go check what the hell this is about and then see the actual Zut orgy. Yeah, that's true. We'll probably have Muhammad running from them, even though it was most likely consensual. Make it so that he's trying to get to the Zut for, but pesky Jews and Christians and Garkids keep stopping him like the Mario Turtle things. That might cost more money than we're willing to invest in this video game. Well, maybe we'll have version 1. It's just Muhammad running from the Zut, and you can change the levels. Like you can be running from 5 Zut, and then if you actually escape 5 Zut, then it goes up to 10 Zut and so on. And eventually, you have to escape 30 Zut, but there's no escaping 30 Zut.
Yeah. In the end, he gets caught. And David had this idea the other day that when he gets caught, he says, "They zooted me in the desert."
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, too. That's funny. Yeah. They zooted me in the desert. You can make a game in the style of Pac-Man where Muhammad is Pac-Man and the ghosts chasing him are women with burqas, women chasing as Momo runs. We can have a bunch of awesome games. You should tell LWC to Louder with Crowder to do Al Zut is true. Change my mind. Everyone here needs to tell him he would definitely do it. He has always been based on Islam. We do need that. We need a sign that says Muhammad got banged by 30 men in the desert. Prove me wrong.
Nice.
That'd be based. I tried researching about the Battle of Al Zut, but they kicked me out of the adult magazine store before I could get deep into Muhammad. What's wrong with people, man? Is the Zut train a passenger or freight cabin? Hey guys, I said you could do Zut jokes. I didn't mean you had to do a million of them. D Wood, if there's a need for writers, I'd be interested in contributing to the Islamic Dilemma website. Articles, write-up, summaries. Is your Hotmail email a good place to get in touch with you? Yes, it is. And check out our headline in London Evening Standard. London Mosque faces criticism over men and young girls only charity fun run. What the heck? Look that up, AP. London Evening Standard. London Mosque faces criticism over men and young girls only charity fun run.
Oh yeah, I saw that. So there was a charity marathon, or charity running, whatever it's called, and the mosque put out a rule that only girls under the age of 12 can participate. Women above that age may not. So. Because it's haram. Because they would be running. You can't look at women when they're running. You have to cover them up.
A mosque is facing criticism over entry rules. Yeah, they love their entry rules. For a charity fun run. The 5K run being held in London's Victoria Park, billed as inclusive and family friendly, is only open to men and girls under the age of 12. The Muslim charity run has been organized by East London Mosque and was due to take place in London's Victoria Park on Sunday. This isn't some parody. It's like a real news site. It's not parody or something. Hold
No,
on,
it's
it's got to
real.
be. Huh?
Daily Mail reported it as well, and then it started going viral. So.
Oh my goodness! I might need to make a video about that tomorrow. AP sounds like a fun video to make.
And that's the main mosque. It's like
I know that's the one you always hear about, East London Mosque.
Yeah, we went there. We recorded in front of that. It's the mosque, and that's how they run things.
That's how they run things, eh? All right. Yep. I'll probably make a video. I'll probably read up on that tonight. Did you guys think about covering that Tommy Robinson interview on Nick Shirley's channel? Could be a good refresher of the UK situation. God bless. Not familiar with Nick Shirley.
You don't know Nick Shirley?
No. Surely you do, though.
Yeah, I didn't know about him, but then Stefan was working with him, and he introduced us to each other. So,
did you guys catch Senator Tuberville's based address to the Senate about the dangers of Islamic extremism and banning Sharia law in the states? No.
I didn't really listen to it, but I heard of it.
Hang on. Everyone's giving me a bunch of video topics right now, right when I get back from traveling. Senator Tuberville. I got to write it down, otherwise I'm definitely going to forget. Senator Tuberville, Islam. All right. Got a debate to watch, guys. Let's see. Was the hadith about the Al-Zut changed over on Sunnah.com? I do not know. But there are a couple of the hadith. Do they even have Musnad Ahmed on there? I forget.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I went to a hard copy of Musnad Ahmed, not hard in the Zut sense, but, actually, I have Musnad. I have the 3 volumes that have been published of Musnad Ahmed. AP, are you going to Dearborn with David and Logic?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. No, AP's going to stay at home. He's going to be scared. Come on. All right, we ready to check out this debate?
Yes.
4 Christian women versus 4 Muslim women, everyone. The final battle between Christianity and Islam is being waged by women. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Dania and I'm a Muslim.
Hi, my name is Khadija Abdullah and I identify as a Black American Muslim.
Hi, my name is Rumana and I'm Muslim.
Hi, I'm Moana and I'm a Muslim.
My name is Shanasa and I'm a Christian.
My name is Kalia and I'm a Christian.
My name is Christina and I'm a Christian.
Hey, everyone know Christina?
No.
That's God Logic's wife.
Really?
Christina is God Logic's wife. And I heard from someone in New York. I won't name a name, but I heard from someone in New York that she's always sweet there because she'll go along with God Logic as he goes around and debating and stuff like this, and she'll always just be there looking sweet and stuff. But someone said that even though she's sitting there just looking and acting sweet and so on, that she will actually crush someone. She will actually crush someone if you start debating with her. So anyway, that was interesting. But that's what I've seen people commenting on, how she was humiliating everyone. But we'll see. It seems like everyone's being super nice. The parts I saw, everyone's being like super nice. People are presenting some good information, but the ladies seem much nicer than a bunch of mean guys. Let's see.
My name is Ty and I'm a Christian.
Thank you. The first prompt is, humans are born pure without sin. All right,
Okay, so how does that work? That seems familiar, but Jubilee does something else, right? Where have I seen this before? Like people who agree or disagree. That's not Jubilee, is it? Is that something else? This looks familiar.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay. So
this is a funny thing because there's a divide between the between Christian groups and this topic.
Yes, there is. And what here's what's interesting. So the Bible says things about the impact of the sin of Adam and Eve on the rest of humanity and so on. You have some different interpretations, but what's wild is Muslims seem to have no clue what their sources say about that. Their sources say a lot of things about how Adam and Eve's sin affected us. Muslims never seem to be even slightly aware of it. And so we'll go ahead and check. We're going to check out this discussion about this issue, and we will check out some passages. It'll be fun.
Anyone can share.
So I believe in scripture being truth, obviously. And in Psalms 51, verse 5, it's the prophet David talking. And he says that we were all born in sin and shaped in iniquity. And I know that when I think about life, I think about children.
Oh, wait. On Jubilee, they hold up the things when they say they want the person to leave, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I got it. Okay, so they're using these totally differently. They're using it whether they agree or disagree with the statement. Okay, so this is different. All right. This is actually better.
I think about how the mother has to teach the 2-year-old child to share. When I think about those things, it reinforces the fact that our nature is selfish, and it's redirection that helps us out of that selfishness. So the fact that the Bible says that we are born in sin, you can see it being played out, not just in the scripture, but in real life.
Yeah, I believe that we're all born into sin. We're born into a sinful nature. But that doesn't necessarily mean that God's grace doesn't redeem that or doesn't extend to those of us, well, all of us who are born into sin. So for instance, if something terrible happens to a child or someone who's developmentally delayed, that doesn't mean that God's grace doesn't extend or meet them there. It absolutely does. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we have this inclination to sin.
I agree with that word used there, the inclination to sin, because I believe the Bible teaches that we're born with that inclination to sin, but we're not born guilty of Adam's sin. So
I've always found it interesting. Again, we're gonna take a look at what the Muslim sources say, but I've always found it interesting that Muslims really like to flex on this issue and deny that humans are born with like an inclination to sin. As Christina's pointing out earlier, you're born, you have an inclination to sin. It seems like the most empirically verifiable claim in the universe. You know what I mean? Like, if human beings weren't born with an inclination to sin, it seems like, well, some human beings would end up sinning and some wouldn't. It seems like we all really end up sinning, and that we can kind of figure it out on our own when we're little. And you don't need to teach people you don't need to teach a baby, hey, here's how to be selfish. You don't need to. It just seems to come like naturally. Anyway.
I think making that distinction is helpful because, like Romans 5:12 says, you know, sin entered the world through Adam's sin. So now we're in this fallen world, and death spreads to all men because all sin. We all sin, and, you know, we have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So we aren't born guilty of Adam's sin, but we're born in Adam's likeness in that we have this inclination, this sinful desire.
Mm-hmm. According to the Quran, humans are born pure. There's something called fitra in Arabic, which translates closely as innateness, like with a pure nature.
Don't bring up the Quran, lady. I got the Quran too here. Okay, let's just let her go.
There's no fall in the Quran, therefore
I didn't even catch that because I was in the airport, but she just said there's no fall in the... Wait, she just said there's no fall in the Quran? Hang on. Hang on. What did she... Dude, this is going to be seriously bad if it's women who don't know anything about their religion. Okay,
pure nature. There's no fall in the Quran, therefore there's no sin that human beings carry when they were born.
There's no fall,
They
everyone.
will be judged after adulthood for what they do.
We're going to look at some passages. We're going to let this discussion play out, and then we're going to look at some passages, everyone, and we'll see if there's no fall.
This is kind of a complicated thing, actually. It's a complicated contrast because when we say sinless or born with sin, I think that Christians mean something very different compared to what Muslims mean. Muslims have a very different understanding of what Christians, and because Muslims are not actually familiar with Christian theology and Christian thinking, I would say that they usually don't understand what this topic is really about. So when she said there is no fall in the Quran, I wonder if she deliberated that and if she knows what the fall is, what it refers to. So, yeah.
Let's just say she's about to have some serious problems with her God and prophet on this issue. And I mean, and keep on. I'm just going to show like the basics. Christina, I remember Christina's about to bring up a hadith here. But when you actually go through the Quran and the hadith, oh my goodness, I can't even believe she just said what she just said. But let's see.
But before that, they are considered sinful. They are considered, with no sin.
So can a child commit, on both sides, can a child commit sin before knowing right from wrong?
Yeah, I think if a child punches another kid in the face and doesn't realize that there's a consequence to that or that's wrong, it's still wrong. The fact that the other kid is hurt is the consequence of the sin that occurred. And it's that very consequence that teaches the kid, oh, this is wrong. It caused hurt to another person. So yeah, absolutely children can sin, but they learn from the consequences of their actions in the same way that adults do.
I would even make the distinction that children can commit sinful acts, but they're not accountable for that sin. For instance, Deuteronomy 139 talks about how the children who are too young to know right and wrong or good and evil, they still enter the promised land. So can a child steal something? Yes. Are they guilty of stealing? No, because they're not accountable for that sin. Even Isaiah 7:19 talks about how a child can be at a point where they're too young to choose the good from the bad. So I just think the distinction between committing a sinful act and being guilty of sin is really, really, really important here.
This is actually I think this is very crucial. It touches the heart of the difference between Christianity and Islam when it comes to the issue of sin, because in Islam, sin is simply something that is considered transactional, that is like that is a value, or that is something like a currency, something like a punishment given, or something that a negative for which you are punished. That's it. Whereas sin is considered quite different in Christianity. It's not about whether you are guilty of something or not. It's that the issue or the thing that is a sin is in and of itself bad, or it is the lack of good. It's not necessarily about whether you are actually doing something deliberately evil or engaging in evil with full responsibility or not. Sin is sin. Whether you are responsible for it or not is a different issue. It is so the issue of sin is much deeper in Christianity than it is in Islam. In Islam, it is just a transactional thing. That's it.
Oh yeah, and overall emphasis in the Bible versus overall emphasis in the Quran. If you were to say, according to the Bible, what is man's fundamental problem, it would be sin. You are in rebellion against God. In the Quran, it seems like man's fundamental problem is ignorance. You don't know, you don't know, and you can't figure out things unless God sends you a prophet to inform you. And by that time, your head has been filled with a bunch of false ideas, and then you resist the prophet and reject him and so on. But yeah, we'll see what the Quran says on sin, though. Hang on.
Anyone else want to share?
I agree, and kind of going off on what was said earlier and your point, in Islam, a child or a person becomes accountable for their sins after puberty.
What?
You hear that? Becomes accountable for their sins. So she's agreeing with what they said about, you can sin and still be too young to be held accountable for that sin. But she just said, you're not accountable for sins until puberty. And oopsie. That's kind of funny. Let me go back. Let's just hear her say that. Hear her say that again.
Choose the good from the bad. So I just think the distinction between committing a simple act and being guilty of sin is really, really, really important here.
Anyone else want to share?
I
on this
agree, and kind of going off on what was said earlier and your point, in Islam, a child or a person becomes accountable for their sins after puberty.
You catch that, guys? You become accountable for sins after puberty. We're going to talk about Aisha here in a second. Well, but
That's
let's
when
let her
you're
finish.
mature. That's when you're mature.
Puberty.
It's my daughter.
So a child cannot necessarily be guilty of a sin. They could do something wrong, but they're not accountable for it yet until they've hit puberty, which is considered the age of maturity.
Would that be like
Emotional
12, or what age would that be?
It depends.
It depends on
different
their own
scholars,
puberty
different,
age.
yeah.
That
On
was
the
funny.
puberty age.
I saw Christina grinning right there because she
Yeah.
probably thought of the same thing I did. Let's pull these up, guys. Let's just pull these.
But hang on.
What?
So you see what I just mentioned here. I know this might not be as crucial as it is, but it is kind of about the depth of sin in Christianity versus Islam. When she just responded to the point, she said, "Yeah, I agree. A child can do something wrong, but is not accountable for the sin until puberty." So she just confirms basically the Islamic perspective versus the Christian perspective. The Islamic perspective is just that this is an issue of behavioralism and of just doing something good versus doing something bad, and being punished versus being rewarded. Whereas in Christianity, it doesn't quite work that way. It is like there is sin in the world, there is corruption, there is the fall, and you do engage in sin, whether you do it knowingly or unknowingly. However, bearing responsibility for that is then a different issue. So sin is objective. In Islam, it is simply a matter of discipline. That's what it is. Because it's just something that you don't do in order to avoid punishment from Allah. It doesn't have any further depth to it.
Sahih al-Bukhari. Look at the chapter heading. Giving one's young children in marriage is permissible. Why? By virtue of the statement of Allah. And for those who have no monthly courses, so no monthly period, i.e. they are still immature, so girls who are too young for a monthly menstrual cycle. Surah 65, verse 4. And the iddah for the girl before puberty is 3 months in the above verse. The girl before puberty. I just wanted to point out, I'm going to point out something else about these hadiths about Aisha, but we were just told that you are not responsible for your sin until you've gone through puberty. And yet you can marry girls before puberty, have sex with them before puberty, divorce them before puberty. So you can actually marry a girl who is not even accountable for what she does, according to these women and Islam. So you are not even accountable for what you do. You're not even accountable for your decisions, and you could be married off and be passed around by Muslim guys. And the example of giving one's young children in marriage is 51-33, goes ahead and gives the hadith. Narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old. So, not accountable for her decisions. And he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old, still not accountable. And then she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. And check this out. 6130, Sahih al-Bukhari. Narrated Aisha, I used to play with the dolls in the presence of the Prophet. Not allowed to play with dolls in Islam. So what's she doing here? And my girlfriends also used to play with me. So Aisha and a bunch of her little girlfriends all sitting around playing with dolls, which they're not allowed to do in Islam. Why? Why were they allowed to do it? When Allah's messenger used to enter my dwelling place, they used to hide themselves, but the Prophet would call them to join and play with me. So you got all these girls playing with dolls when dolls are forbidden. What's going on here? And Muhammad liked watching these girls play with dolls, which they're not allowed to do. What's going on? Here you have the commentary here. The playing with dolls and similar images is forbidden, but it was allowed for Aisha at that time as she was a little girl, not yet reached the age of puberty. So they're actually agreeing with what the woman just said. You're not accountable. But what's that mean? It means Aisha was not accountable and yet was still Muhammad was still allowed to consummate marriage with a girl who wasn't even accountable for her actions yet. And here, Sahih Muslim 3481, it was narrated from Aisha that the Prophet married her when she was 7 years old, and she was taken to him as a bride when she was 9 years old, and she took her dolls with her. Why'd she have dolls? Because she hadn't reached puberty. She was not accountable for her actions. She couldn't be held responsible for her actions, and yet she was married off to a man. Crazy stuff, but you heard it here. They brought it up, not me. All right, back to this debate. There's something creepy about all this. All these women here sitting there defending this great idea of Islam and don't seem to have a problem about how this principle is actually applied.
This is the funny thing. I feel like it's good to have a discussion about belief differences and all that. It's probably nice to have such a debate, but I think it would be even better to have this debate between Christian women and Muslim women and to make it all about some more controversial topics.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that would have been fun. I wouldn't even think about that. So Muhammad and Aisha, polygamy in Islam, all those kinds of things. Muhammad and Zainab. Muhammad, Zayd, and Zainab. I mean, seriously, it would be interesting to have their view of paradise debated, where these Muslim women are still going to be the wives of their husbands in paradise, but the husbands are given all these specially designed sex machines called houris, who are these perpetual virgins who have no purpose but to please the Muslim men. And so what do you do as a Muslim woman? Well, you stand in a corner waiting for your husband to call on you for sex, but you're now in competition with a bunch of specially designed pleasure machines. And that's what you do for eternity. I'd be interested in hearing what Muslim women think about this, because they don't seem to ever have any clue about it when it gets brought up to them.
Okay, so there's not one set age. It's just when they hit puberty. I see.
I do have a question for the Muslim ladies, because in Sahih Muslim 2662, Aisha is at the funeral of a young boy, and it says that he's too young to have committed sin. So she's like telling Muhammad, surely he's in paradise because he's too young to have committed a sin. And Muhammad says, peradventure, it may be otherwise. So I'm just curious, in light of this idea that, children are not guilty of sin, why would it be otherwise that he would be in paradise?
Everyone catch that? I will pull up the hadith. I will pull up the hadith.
Nice.
So, and keep in mind, this wasn't even like this particular point wasn't even so much about original sin. It was as a response to what the other woman said, that you're not accountable. Before puberty, you're not accountable, and therefore you get a free pass. And Christina brings up a hadith where a child dies, and everyone, oh, well, he's going to paradise. Muhammad, you don't know that. You don't know that. Why? If he's not going to be held accountable for his sins, why wouldn't he be good to go? And so let's go ahead and check it out here. All right, so Sahih Muslim. Aisha, the mother of the believers. Oh, my goodness. We were just talking about Aisha. What a coincidence. Aisha, the mother of the believers, said that Allah's messenger was called to lead the funeral prayer of a child of the Ansar. I said, Allah's messenger. So this is Aisha. I said, Allah's messenger, there is happiness for this child who is a bird from the birds of paradise, for it committed no sin, nor has he reached the age when one can commit sin. So Aisha is basically saying what these Muslim women were saying. Hey, child can't even, hadn't committed any sin and hasn't reached the age when he can commit sin. What's Muhammad's reply? He said, Aisha, peradventure, it may be otherwise, because God created for paradise those who are fit for it, while they were yet in their father's loins, and created for hell those who are to go to hell. He created them for hell while they were yet in their father's loins. You guys catching this? So they're sitting in the Muslim women seem to be thinking, oh, you have free will and you can decide what you want to do, but your decisions, even if you do something wrong when you're a kid, it's not going to be held against you because you haven't reached puberty. Aisha says the exact same thing. Oh, this little kid died, therefore he's going to paradise. Muhammad's response is, what are you talking about? Allah already decided long time ago where each person is going. He decides who's going to hell and who's going to heaven. So if he'd already decided that this kid's going to hell, it doesn't matter when this kid dies, he's going to hell. Allah already decided that he's going to hell. How can you sit here and say that he's going to paradise because he hasn't reached the age of accountability? So, by the way, this is interesting because it seems like it doesn't have anything to do with this kid reaching the age of puberty or being accountable for sin. It's all Allah's decision. Allah already decided before this kid did anything. And it wouldn't matter if this kid did nothing wrong his entire life and never reached puberty. Allah may have already decided that this kid's going to hell, and that's what decides it. And here's what's amazing. Do these Muslim women have any clue about this? No. Where do they have to hear this from? They have to hear this from a Christian woman because they're never hearing it from the Dawah guys. Because the Dawah guys want these women going up to other women and saying, oh, yeah, you see, in Islam, we have this different view from you guys. You guys have a messed up view. We have a much better view, and it's contradicting what Muhammad said. Fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. All right, let's see how they answer.
So the hadith that's mentioned in the Sahih, you said Sahih?
Sahih Muslim.
Muslim.
2662.
Hadith is the Prophet's narrations. And so the word hadith means we have to make sure before we discuss that how solid is this hadith, because a lot of hadith were input
is Sahih
in a lot
Muslim.
of big books. So, we
She
have
doesn't
to...
know what she's talking
She's
about.
throwing Sahih Muslim under the bus.
It is Sahih Muslim. When we talk about Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari, we generally, with very few exceptions, do not make the distinction to analyze whether this hadith is reliable or not. If it is in Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari specifically, also in several other books, but specifically those, we do not question their authenticity, except for a handful of hadiths where they are found in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, but there are variants of those narrations within the same books where some take precedence over others. But generally, if it is from Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim, in Islam, traditionally, you do not question the authenticity. She doesn't know this.
Yeah. And it's seriously amazing. It's here's what we think. Here's what we think. Here's what we think. Oh, here's what your prophet said, and he's contradicting what you think. Oh, well, that must be weak because he's contradicting what we think about this issue. Yeah, it's weird because on the one hand, I think, okay, that's not how Islam works. But on the other hand, it's like, I find it funny that they're just quick to throw out Sahih hadiths that don't line up with what they heard from their Dawah guy. This is the ongoing problem. Keep in mind, guys, this isn't about women here. Every Muslim man you ever meet will side with his Dawah hero in a heartbeat over what Allah or Muhammad, in a heartbeat. If you say, here's what your God says, and here's what your prophet says, and they're saying the opposite of what your local Dawah hero says, who do you go with? 100% of the time, they'll go with their Dawah hero. And that's what this woman is doing. Well, that's not what I heard, so that makes no sense. That must be a weak hadith because it's not what I
It's
believe.
so funny.
What I've been taught.
We're like 5 minutes into the video, and the Muslim side has thrown Islam under the bus.
Already. Hadith, Sahih Muslim is garbage, everyone. You heard it here from awesome woman debater. Funny. Hey, we had God Logic here. Said, thanks, everyone. And yes, I am incredibly proud of Lady Logic. She's so amazing, and the Lord used her and the other women to represent Christ well. And that's awesome because that's kind of why it's cool to have a debate like this. I bet more women will be interested in like, this is actually a debate among women. I'm interested in watching this. And so they'll be hearing a lot of interesting stuff that they probably are not familiar with. So yeah, hope to see lots more of these. Also, I've been saying it for a little while. We got a lot of Christian women who are absolute warriors and would crush even men challengers, right? I mean, even like Dawa guys and stuff would get crushed by these women. So I was recommending, and this, by the way, it's going to happen. We're going to have like an all women Christian call-in show where Muslim men can call in and Muslim women can call in too, but Muslim men can call in and challenge the women. But it would be like DOC, Mary Harp, Hatun, Christina should be in there. What would happen? I mean, think, according to Islam, they're all intellectually deficient. It's going to be a serious struggle for Muslim men calling in to a group of women and just getting schooled every single time. That has to mess with your mind. Wait a minute. They're intellectually deficient. They're crushing me. What does that say about me? What you should be thinking is, what does that say about your prophet and what he said about women if they're crushing you? Maybe your prophet had no clue what he's talking about.
Very, very fantastic work by Lady Logic, and we have much respect and appreciation. That said, yeah, of the women you just mentioned, Mary Harp, I would say that she's more intelligent and more well read than every single Muslim apologist I can think of. So that would already, in and of itself, disprove the entire idea of women being deficient in intelligence.
Hey, you know what we need? Hey, God Logic, you know what we need? Christina should start challenging Lily J to a public debate. So, Lily J, when are we going to have a debate? You know Lily J will never in a trillion years accept such a challenge, but it would be funny. It would be awesome to watch her run in fear from a debate challenge from Christina. All right, let's check out some more of this.
Investigate and see if it is a right hadith, and it will have an explanation to support what comes in the Quran. So all the prophetic hadiths, the original ones, they support what comes in the Quran. It can't be contradictory.
Right, so this one is considered to be Sahih, which means authentic, right?
No, it depends. It depends.
No, it doesn't.
No, it
depend.
depends.
It doesn't depend.
I like this. I like this lady. She's completely wrong from a Orthodox Islamic stance, but awesome. Hey, God Logic, I don't know what you're doing, God Logic, but you're in the chat. And if you want to just be in the chat or take off or something, you cool. But if you're sitting at your computer, you can call in if you want. You can jump in here. But yeah, that's up to you. That's up to you, man. The point is, if you're at your computer, you got a camera in your face, you're going, "Oh, I'd like to say something," man, jump in. But if you're chilling, you can do that too. Oh gosh, I mean, here we are. You're right. Just a couple minutes in, and Islam has already been thrown under the bus. Hadith methodology already been thrown under the bus to avoid something that conflicted with what they'd been taught by their Dawah guys.
It is called Sahih for a reason. Sahih, authentic. It's called that for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
We can't assume that. But like I said, if there's a clear verse in the Quran that human beings are born without sin, the hadith that are supportive of that, they are the right hadith. Otherwise, it can be contradictory.
So her methodology is, I'm interpreting the Quran this way, and therefore, what you're supposed to do, if you're interpreting the Quran some way, and then you see Muhammad saying something completely different in the hadith, that's supposed to control, that you're supposed to modify your interpretation of the Quran. Why? Muhammad knows what he's talking about. He's the supreme authority on interpreting the Quran. And therefore, if your interpretation goes against Muhammad, then you need to revise your interpretation. What she did is, I'm interpreting the Quran this way. Muhammad said something that completely contradicts my interpretation. Therefore, that hadith must be unreliable. That's her method. Love it. Keep at it, girl. You go, girl.
She also got confused because the topic here, which is why the question from Christina came, it wasn't whether people are born sinless. That was the original topic, but the response here came in response to the Muslim woman arguing that in Islam, children are not responsible for their sins until they reach puberty. That is the topic. This is why Christina brought up this hadith. Then this Muslim woman now goes back to being born sinless, which is allegedly found in the Quran. That has nothing to do with the hadith, however. She got confused.
That is true. Anna sort of sums up the position. She says, yeah, you guys have to look at the actual hadith and see if I agree with it. You can't just know that it's authentic just because my scholars said so. I love this, man. This is awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, here we go.
I agree. I think we're on the same page that children aren't guilty of sin. My question is, like, we're like Aisha, right? We're like, why, this kid is too young to have committed sin. So I don't think that Quran.
And Aisha was too young to have committed sin, and she's the one commenting on it. So you're okay, Aisha. You don't know any better because you're not even old enough to be accountable for sin. And you're commenting on this other kid, one of your playmates maybe, and he's not accountable for sin either. And turns out Allah already decided where you guys are going, whether you're going to heaven or hell.
Verse you're mentioning contradicts that idea. But more so, my question is, if children are innocent, then why would the possibility of the child not being in paradise be a thing?
Like I said again, the hadith does not, if it does not align with the Quran, then we have to assume.
If it doesn't align with how I have interpreted the Quran, then I throw out the hadith.
The funny thing is, I would like to grant that, okay, let's say that is true. How exactly do you think the hadith contradicts the Quran? Please explain. She can't, because she once again is confusing things.
And she's about to get crushed by the Quran. Because I've got the Quran here, lady. Anyway.
That it's not a concrete, solid hadith. There were a lot of hadith
Not a
input
concrete.
in even big books.
It's not a
And big
concrete,
books.
solid hadith.
Big books.
Sahih Muslim is not a solid hadith collection.
Famous
Sahih
books.
Muslim is a big book.
But, and
It's a big book.
I have personally an issue with the word sin. There are mistakes, there are wrongdoings. The word sin in Islam is huge. It's big. So if I say a child committed a mistake, it's understandable. It happens every day. But the word sin itself, in Islam, it's related to big acts of
Breaking
evil.
the law.
Yeah.
So
Look,
speaking of sin, do you
Pause. So here you can see that, once again, this is the third time now that we can see it. The Muslim woman, and this is one of those things, Muslims don't know any better. So from their position, it might seem like, okay, we have to explain because in Islam, sin is a very, very important thing. It's not really. If you study Christian theology, you will understand that the topic of sin is a very minor one. It is a very poorly understood one in Islam, because what she just said, sin is very important. Sin is a very big thing. What she's describing here is just that it's a big accusation. It's a big responsibility. It's a big misdeed. That's it. That's all it is. That's what the discussion is to Muslims when it comes to sin. That's not really what it is to Christians when it comes to sin. Sin is much more, much deeper in Christianity, because Christianity has significant theological depth that Islam does not have. In Islam, everything is just very surface level, and sin is just something that you commit for which you are punished. That's it. It doesn't have any further implications about the corruption of the world and things like that.
believe on both sides that if we don't follow your particular religion or faith, that we would go to hell?
Okay, so different topic. So that was the conclusion of the discussion on children and original sin and so on. I just wanted to point out a couple of passages here.
Correct, Carol. Carol said Muslims have no concept of sin nature. In Islam, it is just doing something. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And here's why I find these kinds of things interesting. So look at the verse in the middle here. It's Surah 16, verse 61. If God were to, so this is Allah here, if God were to punish men for their wrongdoing, he would not leave on the earth a single living creature. But he gives them respite for a stated term. When their term expires, they would not be able to delay the punishment for a single hour, just as they would not be able to anticipate it for a single hour. Okay, guys, think about this. Do the math here. Muslims, you got basically two possibilities. What does your God here say? He says, if God were to punish men for their wrongdoing, he would not leave on the earth a single living creature. So it's saying he doesn't punish. He doesn't punish men immediately for their sins. He doesn't punish people instantly for their sins. He gives them some time, right? But what's it say? If he were to punish men for their wrongdoing, he would not leave on the earth a single living creature. What's that mean? Well, that means that every living creature every living creature sins, every living creature is sinful, or it means that if Allah were to punish men for their sins, he would carry out their punishment. He would carry out the punishment for men on every living creature, including babies. So which is it, Muslims? It's one of those. Either all living things are sinful, and that would include babies, because it says, guess what? Babies are living creatures. And he says, if he punished men for their sins, he would not leave anyone alive on the earth, not a single living creature. So not even babies. So either even babies are sinful, or when Allah punishes men, he punishes all living things, even those that are innocent. So he would punish innocent living creatures that have never sinned for the sins of men if he actually punished them, which means that Allah's punishment includes punishment not just of the people who are guilty, but of people who had nothing to do with it. Take your pick, Muslims. Which one is it? All living things are sinful, or Allah punishes all living things for the sins of a particular individual? Which one? Take your pick. Either way, it's not what you believe. Either way, you don't believe that. You don't believe what your God says right here. Give you another one. At the end there, 35:45. If God were to punish men according to what they deserve, he would not leave on the back of the earth a single living creature, but he gives them respite for a stated term. When their term expires, verily God has in his sight all his servants. What's he say here? If God were to punish men according to what they deserve, he would not leave on the back of the earth a single living creature. Again, this means that all living creatures are sinful, or that when Allah punishes particular individuals for their sins, he just takes it out on everyone, even those who had nothing to do with it. Guess what? The Quran says that Allah doesn't do that. The Quran says that Allah doesn't punish other people for, he's not going to punish one person for the sins of another. But if you're right, and we're not, and babies and so on are completely innocent, then why would he be even punishing the babies for the sins of men? So make up your minds, guys. But you got some serious stuff in your own books that make no sense given what you believe. It seems to contradict what you believe. A couple more passages real quick. Hey, she was saying there's no fall. Remember that, AP? Remember, hey, there's no fall?
Yes.
I remember her saying there's no fall in Islam. There's no fall in the Quran. Really, 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 really. Okay. You have a bunch of passages about the fall in the Quran. Let's just look at this one very quickly. Ready? Surah 2, verse 34, and we'll read down to verse 38. So this is about Satan and so on. And behold, we said to the angels, bow down to Adam. And they bowed down. Really? They bowed down to a mere human being? You're not supposed to do that. That's shirk. There's only Satan refused to bow down. He's the only good Muslim. And so Allah punished him for being the only good, faithful Muslim. So anyway, and behold, we said to the angels, bow down to Adam. And they bowed down. They obeyed Allah's command to commit shirk. Not so Iblis. He refused and was haughty. He was of those who reject faith. We said, so this is what Allah says. We said, O Adam, dwell thou and thy wife in the garden, and eat of the bountiful things therein, as where and when ye will. But approach not this tree, or ye run into harm and transgression. Then did Satan make them slip from the garden, and get them out of the state of felicity in which they had been. There's no fall? There's no fall? They were in a state of felicity in the garden, and then they're not? Let's see. So It caused them to get out of the state of felicity in which they had been. We said, get ye down. There's no fall. Get ye down. Where? Out of paradise. No fall. No fall in Islam. We said, get ye down, all ye people, with enmity between yourselves on earth. It's interesting. It's talking about Adam and Eve, and then it talks about like all. With enmity between yourselves, on earth will be your dwelling place and your means of livelihood for a time. Hey, quick question. So let me get this straight, everyone. There's no fall, but Adam and Eve were cast out of paradise onto earth. Being on earth, guys, everyone pay attention. This is different from the biblical view where paradise is a place on earth, right? In Islam, it's a different place. It's a different place. You are put on earth when you're kicked out of paradise. Okay, quick question, everyone. Where are babies born? Are they born
in paradise?
They're not born in paradise. They're born here on earth, which is the place of punishment for sin. So what's that mean? Either the babies are sinners, they're born in sin, they have a sin nature, something along those lines, or they're punished for the sin of Adam and Eve. If not being in paradise and being on earth is the punishment for sin, again, where are babies born? They're not born in paradise. They're born on earth. So take your pick once again. Either they're completely innocent and yet they're punished in exactly the way Adam was for his sin, or they somehow share in the responsibility because they were somehow contained in Adam at that time. By the way, that is the Islamic view, that you were all part of it. So anyway, we said, get ye down, all ye people, with enmity between yourselves. On earth will be your dwelling place and your means of livelihood for a time. Then learnt Adam from his Lord words of inspiration, and his Lord turned towards him, for he is oft returning most merciful. Verse 38, we said, get ye down, all from here, all of you. And if, as is sure, there comes to you guidance from me, whosoever follows my guidance, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. So everyone get out of here. What are you talking about? It's Adam and Eve. Everyone get out of here. Why? Because we're all in Adam and Eve. And so we're all punished. We're all punished. We all are somehow responsible. And Muslims have absolutely no clue about it. It's right here in the Quran over and over and over again, and they just don't care. Why? Because you don't listen to Allah and Muhammad. You listen to Dawah people. That's who you listen to. Islam is the religion of Dawah, Gandists, making things up. It's not the religion of what Allah and Muhammad taught. Quick hadith real quick. Sahih al-Bukhari 3339. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, were it not for Bani Israel, meat would not decay. And were it not for Eve, no woman would ever betray her husband.
Huh. Jews, have you heard of that? Jews, dear Jews, the reason that meat goes bad is you. Jews are the reason why.
Truth. Hey, what's this? Hey, I got a slab of beef over here. I'm just gonna leave it here, sitting on my counter for about a week here in the hot desert. Hey, why just got maggots crawling all over? Because the Jews.
Man,
everyone
Muhammad was worse than Groypers, man.
Yeah, guys. So think about this. It's the children of Israel. So notice this means that meat didn't decay until Jews came along. until Jews came along, meat it would last forever, guys. According to Muhammad, he knows. He's a super smart guy. Anyway, but look, were it not for Eve, no woman would ever betray her husband. So if Eve hadn't sinned, think about this, guys. If Eve hadn't sinned, no woman for all of history would have ever betrayed her husband. How can you interpret that as not meaning that Eve's sin somehow affected her nature and the nature of all her future offspring, that what she did produced some sort of inclination for women to betray their husbands? How can you not interpret? What else does it mean? And Muslim, and if you say this to a Muslim, they'll deny it. And if you were to bring it up to that Muslim woman, she'd say, nope, can't trust that hadith. All right, one more. Check this out. Sahih al-Bukhari, 6614. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, Adam and Moses argued with each other. Adam and Moses going at it. Right in front of Allah. Adam and Moses argued with each other. Moses said to Adam, "O Adam, you are our father who disappointed us and turned us out of paradise." Adam, it's your fault that we're not in paradise. Why would you be mad at him? Because, hey, I'm stuck here on earth and I'm being punished because of what you did. Oh my goodness, that's what Allah never does. Strange, strange, strange. Then Adam said to him, "O Moses, Allah favored you with his talked to you directly, and he wrote the Torah for you with his own hand. Do you blame me for action which Allah had written in my fate 40 years before my creation?" So Adam confuted Moses, the prophet added, repeating the statement 3 times. Y'all getting this? So Moses actually brings it as an objection to Adam. Adam, you are so messed up. You got all of us kicked out of paradise. We were all punished because of what you did. Adam doesn't say, Adam doesn't say, no, that's not what happened. He says, why are you blaming me when Allah decided that was going to happen? In other words, don't blame me for my sin. Allah already decided that's what I was going to do, and that's how he was going to punish all of us. Why are you blaming me? And Muhammad says that's Adam he destroyed him. He destroyed Moses in the debate. Adam crushed him. How are you going to blame me for sinning and getting all of us kicked out of paradise when that was Allah's decision to do that? That kind of sounds like what Muhammad was saying in the hadith about the child. Oh, look, this child, he's too young to know what he's doing. He's too young to know right from wrong, so he's just going to be in paradise. Wrong. Allah already decided before this kid was born whether he's going to hell or not. And you don't know what Allah decided. So don't say this kid's in paradise. Notice, guys, we just read multiple Quran passages. We read multiple hadiths. The Muslim women in the debate, they have no clue what they're talking about on these issues. And keep in mind, that is not about the women. That's not about the women. You could go up to 4 Muslim men. They will have no clue about any of that either. And they will say exactly what these Muslim ladies were saying. They might not be as quick to, depending on who they are, they might not be as quick to toss the hadith under the bus. But I mean, I don't know how it can be any clearer. Like there's just no connection between what Muslims believe and what their sources actually say. The connection is between what Muslims believe and what their dawah guys say. That's the connection. It's weird stuff.
So what you're saying is that this is because they're women?
Yep, it's because they're women.
Good.
All right. Let's go ahead and check this out.
From my upbringing and my understanding of the Quran.
So the question here is, what happens to people who don't believe in your religion?
No. There's a verse in chapter 2, verse 62 that says, Christians, Jews, believers, anyone who believes in God, believes in the day of judgment, and does good on earth has no fear, and God will reward them in the hereafter.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so her response is, as long as you believe in God and you do good, you're going to paradise. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian, Jew, whoever. And what's she basing that on? Surah 2, verse 62. Why is that a problem? It's not all the Quran says, lady. It's not all the Quran says. The Quran's very clear on what happens if you reject Muhammad. And it doesn't matter.
I'm going to read just one verse. I'm going to just read one verse. Chapter 5, verse 72. Chapter 5, verse 72. It says, they have certainly disbelieved who say Allah is the Messiah, the son of Mary. While the Messiah has said, O children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Of course, nobody talked like this. This is the Quran's own language. Indeed, he who associates others with Allah, Allah has forbidden him paradise, and his refuge is the fire, and there are not for the wrongdoers any helpers. So according to this verse, chapter 5, verse 72, anybody who believes in the divinity of Jesus will permanently go to hell, and there is no way for them to go to paradise.
What everyone needs to understand when the Quran talks about believing in Allah, and you say, oh, that's just believing in God. We all believe in God. Christians believe in God. Jews believe in God. It's not really. It means you have to believe what Islam teaches about God. And if you don't believe what Islam teaches about God, you don't really believe in God. And if you don't do what Allah says and you don't believe in Muhammad, you don't really believe in God. You don't. You're fake.
You're fake.
No, you're fake. Anyway.
Well, I would just want to say, like, what if I don't believe in the Quran? So does that put me in a place where I am going to hell on your view?
No, because the verse doesn't say you have to believe in the Quran. It says you have to believe in
verse?
God and do.
You hear that? Yeah, that verse. Surah 2, verse 62. It's the only verse Allah ever revealed. And it just said, hey, as long as you believe in God and you do good works, you're good to go. You're on your way to paradise. He didn't say anything else. He didn't say anything else about you needing to believe in Muhammad. He definitely didn't say in Surah 3, 31 to 32, that if you reject Muhammad, Allah has no love for you.
Yeah.
Didn't say any of that. Didn't call you the worst of creatures if you reject Muhammad and Islam. Nope, never happened. None of this ever happened. 262, it's the only verse of the Quran. Ask this lady. She knows.
Believe in the day of judgment and do good on earth.
But Christians, you wouldn't be considered a Christian if they were to believe in your God. So you see what I'm getting at? Because Christians are people the word Christian is a follower of Christ. In other words, a person that believes in the triune God, a person who serves the triune God. So how can you be called a Christian, but then serving Allah?
Yeah, so she brought up what AP was pointing out. If you actually believe what Christianity teaches about God, the Quran calls you an unbeliever. So you're not a believer. So why anyway, yeah, guys, this is the danger of taking a verse, completely destroying the context, destroying the meaning, and ignoring the rest of the book and just going with whatever makes you feel good about your book. Bad idea.
Makes sense, and that means you're not a Christian. So where do we bridge that gap?
I guess it differs on opinions because from my perspective, it's the same God.
Just to answer the question, so for the
She just said, from my perspective, if you're a Christian, you believe in the triune God of the Bible, you believe in the same God. So you're good to go. AP, you just said it. Allah says you're an unbeliever if you're a Christian and you believe in the deity of Christ, the Trinity, anything. The Quran says you're an unbeliever. She just said, no, I think you're fine. I think it's all the same God. This is awesome.
Get the heck out of my house. You're a kafir.
We can throw out Sahih Muslim, according to one of the Muslim ladies debating, and now you can believe in the triune God of the Bible. You can believe in the deity of Christ. You're still good to go because you believe in God. And she said, according to her view, you're fine. Awesome.
So she just said, Quran 5 verse 72. Throw that away. We don't care. Yeah.
Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
perspective, we believe that if you don't profess Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, worship the triune God, there is a place of separation that has been prepared for those who don't acknowledge Jesus as the Son of God. I would say where we defer, and maybe you guys can give more commentary on some of the passages in the Quran, but I know that Surah 749 talks about beheading, slicing the necks of those who don't believe on the day of war, and just talk about this idea of jihad, because I feel like there are so many people who practice Islam who do persecute. The number one source of Christian persecution is at the hands of Islamic states. These aren't people. These aren't just one extreme person or one extreme group, but these are entire countries that persecute Christians because of what they believe is in the book, because they believe that this idea of holy war does exist. And I know that there's differing interpretations on that, but I think you have to ask the question, like, why are there so many extremist groups as opposed to Christianity? We're not persecuting any nation across the world trying to get people to convert.
Yeah.
Who is that woman?
I forget her name. It listed the names at the beginning, but I did see people say, they were saying Christina crushed it, and they were saying, and I saw people going, and the woman with glasses too. All the ladies on the Christian side seem sharp, man.
Yeah, the Christians know about Islam, and the Muslims don't know about Islam.
Isn't that amazing? The Christian women they obviously know more about Christianity, but they also know more about Islam than the Muslim ladies. And the Muslim ladies are just inventing it as they go along, or just reciting the Dawah script that was given to them at some point. And I remember this part. I did catch this part last night at the airport, so I still saw this. But she just goes on this tirade about the Crusades and all this. She didn't get the point. It's So what was asked was, hey, if you guys are actually fine, as one of your debaters just said, if we're actually fine believing in Jesus, believing in the Trinity, calling Jesus God, and so on, if that's actually fine because we still believe in God and we're doing good works, why are jihadis obsessed with violently subjugating us? And you could have tied that into Islam. Why is Islam obsessed with violently subjugating us? That's a command. 929 is a command to violently subjugate us. Why, if we're fine? And here's the thing. You could just, if you're sitting there looking at 929, why are Muslims commanded to violently subjugate us? Go to the very next verse. The Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah. Christians say the Messiah is the son of Allah. So wait a minute. Believing something incorrect according to Islam is justification for violently subjugating us. So how in the name of common sense can you take it seriously that, oh, as long as you believe in God, you're fine. You're fine with Islam and you're going to heaven? Makes zero sense. So that was the issue that was brought up. She's going to not understand it and start talking about the Crusades and stuff like that.
Which, just to point out, it's not a topic, but she obviously gets distracted because she's uncomfortable with the idea, with the fact that Muslims are persecuting Christians. But when that Christian lady just brought up the fact that the number one factor of persecution of Christians in the world are Muslim states or Islamic states, that woman at the beginning kind of started like grinning and cringing and all that. This is just this attitude is very funny because this is not a topic that is up to dispute. This is not controversial. This is not even a discussion. There are many things that we might have discussions about with Muslims. This topic is not up to discussion. It is a fact. It is a clear-cut fact that among countries where Christians are persecuted, Islam is the number one persecutor by numbers. That's it.
And if you're looking at places like Nigeria, why are Muslims attacking Nigerian Christians? Not because the Nigerian Christians are somehow doing some horrible, evil thing. It's just you're Christians. That's the reason. Why are Christians second-class citizens in Pakistan? Because you're Christians. Because you're Christians. You have the wrong... This all goes back to Islam. Anyway. This is just wild stuff. But anyway, this lady's about to go on a tirade about the Crusades and stuff.
So I was saying that is kind of from a Christian perspective. The non-Christian perspective, when we look at Christians, we have a lot of fears because it starts with the Crusades.
Did you catch that? She said, the reason Muslims are attacking Christians because we have a lot of fears, and it starts with the Crusades.
Yeah, we are persecuting you because we are afraid of the Crusades.
Yeah, we're afraid because of the Crusades. We're afraid of you. That's why Muslims are killing Nigerian Christians. That's why there's this endless jihad. We're afraid because of the Crusades. Check this out.
Then during which time, hundreds of thousands of Muslims and Orthodox Christians, lost their lives, were killed. And then it goes to, we're talking between the 9th century and the 12th century.
It's so funny how she mentioned Orthodox Christians. Why did she throw in the Orthodox Christians? It's kind of funny because she left out one group that also suffered bigly.
Yeah.
Out of the Crusades.
Yeah. Why didn't you mention
she left
the Jews, lady?
One group. she kind of missed that group. I don't know why, but she missed that group. Yeah. But this is a funny thing. She brings up the Crusades as a response. Now, the Crusades are not a deciding factor on Christianity. They also are a very, very small part of history, an extremely small part of history, and they also went very wrong. They also did go very wrong. I personally think that the Crusades were entirely, considering their reasoning and, the cause for the Crusades, I think they were entirely justified. I think they were entirely and fully justified. In fact, they were too late. That said, they resulted in some great injustices and wrongdoings here and there, which is what should be called out. However, the thing with the Crusades is that they were a reaction to Islamic aggressions and expansionism, continuous Islamic expansions and aggressions.
And the Christian ladies point that out.
But once again, it has nothing to do with the topic.
Yeah. Let's let her rant for a bit.
Following that, then you have the Spanish.
And you can kind of tell, and based on the little bit I've seen, she has a lot of. She just attacks Christianity constantly. It's like everything that comes up, she attacks Christianity. So that's the sort of the kind of person she is. This is how she does dawah. It's Christianity evil. Look at Christianity. Look at the Crusades. All this, and has no clue what she's talking about, as usual.
Inquisition, where Muslims and Jews were forced to convert, and if they didn't convert,
Jews.
if they didn't agree to convert, then they were killed or exiled. And that the numbers around there are, in the hundreds of thousands. And then, of course, after the Spanish Inquisition, after the Muslims were banished from Europe or killed, and the Jews as well.
Even though the Muslims were just being super nice, super sweet, and we have no idea why they were banished. They just banished because they were, the Christians are mean.
They were just in Spain. They were just the Muslims were just hanging out in Spain,
Yeah, they were just there for some Spanish rice and
yeah. For centuries
siesta.
They were just hanging out there. It was, it was just their home. They just happened to be there. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
they were just there.
They must have always been there, because it's not like they rolled up in there and invaded the place and stuff, and then people eventually. No, they got there by magic.
Christian colonization begins, and you have the British going over to India, the British going over to Africa, not just the British, the Dutch, the Bulgarians.
Yeah, and
are you freaking kidding me?
Then the British, when the British got to India, there were Muslims there. How'd those Muslims get there? Those Muslims, they found these Muslims, these colonizers coming over. Then they think about this: these British Christian colonizers get to India and colonize this Muslim land.
The British Christians, they get there, and they take what we Muslims took from the Hindus. How dare they?
No, they took what the Hindus gladly gave us.
And the French as well, and they were informed by Christian missionaries. And just to say that the Christian missionaries informed their missions isn't really enough. They actively participated as well. So, as I was saying before, India, the British stole something like $43 trillion.
Keep in mind the reasoning here in all of this, right? Woman says, according to the Quran, as long as you believe in God and you do good things, you are good to go. You're going to paradise. Objection is raised. Wait a minute. We're not believers in Allah according to the Quran. If we have wrong beliefs about God, if we believe in the Trinity, if we believe in the deity of Christ, we're not believers according to the Quran. So why would you say that we're good to go? Woman's response: well, I think you're fine, because I think you are believing in the same God, even if you got some wrong things. So you're still fine. You're still going to heaven, in spite of what the Quran says. Then one of the Christian ladies brings up, well, if you guys think we're all fine, and if that's standard Islamic belief, that we're fine believing in Jesus, believing Jesus is Lord, we're all good to go, and we're all going to paradise. Why are Muslims the main persecutors of Christians in the world? And if you ask the Muslims why they're persecuting Christians, it's because of what we believe. Why is that? And this woman, but the Crusades and the Spanish Inquisition, say none of that has anything to do with the topic, right? You're supposed to be answering, either agreeing with your fellow Muslim debater or not, right? You could say, no, she's wrong. You're not good. You're not okay if you're a Christian. You're not okay if you have false beliefs. You're not okay about that. She could disagree. Instead, it's, let me talk about the Crusades and stuff. That's not answering the objection, lady. But anyway.
I don't want to be disrespectful and insulting and all that, and it's just I don't know how else to put this, but it is just a very clear example of the intellectual difference between Christian women and Muslim women, and it's not for no reason that Muhammad said, you have you are deficient in intelligence and all that. So, with no disrespect at all to the Muslim women, I think it would have been better for them to learn or to just not participate in this discussion.
Over a period of 200 years. And then in Africa, 10 million Africans were, stolen from their homeland. transported across the Atlantic. So many of whom, the majority of whom, died over that. Over that.
Pause. You know where they learned that from?
I know where they learned that from.
From the Muslims.
Yeah. Guys, let me give you a quick recap of history here. So, slavery is basically understood. It's totally normal around the world during the time of the Bible. And so it's just taken for granted as a reality of the world. Christians came along and just instantly started freeing slaves if they were able to, right? It was just, it wasn't a command. Hey, you better free your slaves. You better free your slaves. They're just kind of doing the math. Wait, these are people. They're created in the image of God. We're told to love everybody. We're told to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. Would I want someone enslaving me? And they're just doing, no, we should free slaves and stuff. And you go back and like wealthy people were like buying thousands of slaves and stuff and freeing them. You even had, I'm trying to think where, I think it was in First Clement. So this is an early church father. This is the generation right after the apostles. But I think it was Clement of Rome. And he had to order Christians to stop selling themselves into slavery in order to free other slaves. You had Christians who were like, "Hey, I want to free that slave over there. So I know what I'll do. I don't have any money, so I'll sell myself into slavery to free that other person and stuff." Anyway, over time, it takes centuries, but over time, slavery basically is weeded out of Europe. There are no more slave markets in Europe because Christians just keep over time freeing slaves. Not everyone. You had people who had slaves and so on, but the tendency over time was to get rid of slaves until there are no more slave markets or anything. Well, guess what? If at some point you decide, hey, we're actually going to a completely different part of the world, like this new world, the America and so on, we're going over there. Well, if you want a bunch of cheap labor, what are you going to do? You're going to buy slaves. Where are you getting them from? You don't have slave markets in Europe anymore. Where do you go? Where the slave markets are still thriving because of Islam. That's where you go. That's where you go. So it's just amazing. The reason slavery back in the day wasn't race-based. You would have Greeks owning Greek slaves. You would have Romans owning Roman slaves and so on. It wasn't race-based. You only ended up with a race-based slavery because that's where slaves were still being sold in the slave markets and so on. And AP.
Look at David is like, slavery was based.
Yeah. I just have to point out, if you're talking about, because she's talking about black African slaves, how many black African slaves Jesus had?
0.
Peter?
0.
Paul?
0.
You know who did have black slaves? Hey, check this out. Sahih al-Bukhari, 6161. Narrated Anas bin Malik. Allah's messenger was on a journey, and he had a black slave called Anjasha. And he was driving the camels very fast, and there were women riding on those camels. Allah's messenger said, Wahaka, may Allah be merciful to you, O Anjasha. Drive slowly the camels with the glass vessels. Women are glass vessels, as you can see from this debate. Narrated Umar. I went to the house of the Prophet, and behold, Allah's messenger was staying in a mashruba, attic room, and a black slave of Allah's messenger was at the top of its stairs. I said to him, tell the Prophet that here's Umar bin al-Khattab asking for permission to enter. Not in the zut sense, but here you have, look at how this is described. Look at the chapter heading. The chapter heading is selling animals for animals of different amounts or quality, hand to hand. It was narrated that Jabir said, a slave came and gave his pledge. This was an Arab slave. An Arab slave came and gave his pledge to the messenger of Allah to emigrate. And the Prophet did not realize that he was a slave. Then his master came looking for him. The Prophet said, sell him to me, because he converted to Islam. Prophet said, sell him to me. So he bought him for 2 black slaves. Then he did not accept the pledge of anyone after that until he asked, is he a slave? Just try and get, there's a lot to unpack. So just get the takeaway here. A man comes up to Muhammad. Hey, Muhammad, I pledge myself to join the Ummah. Muhammad says, fine, cool. And then the guy says, oh, by the way, I'm a slave. Another guy owns me. Muhammad's like, darn, you got me. Because I can't let a Muslim be owned by some pagan, some polytheist. So he goes to the guy, says, all right, I want to buy your slave. And what's he do? Does he take a bunch of gold and buy the slave? No. Muhammad takes two of his black slaves. And notice it says, after that, he wouldn't accept the pledge of anyone. If someone says, hey, Muhammad, I want to serve you, I want to join the Ummah, he's like, wait, are you a slave? Because if so, don't come to me with that nonsense.
I am a slave, yes, but I really want to become a Muslim.
Too bad. You think I'm going to pay more of my black slaves to get you out of slavery, Arab slave?
But please, Muhammad, please, I'm not happy like this. I want to be a Muslim. I want to follow you.
And again, notice how is this described in the title, in the chapter heading? It's described as selling animals for animals of different amounts or quality, namely Arab slaves versus African slaves. African slaves were less valuable. They were easier to come by and so on. And so you'd have to trade two black slaves for an Arab slave. But notice, guys, Muhammad used black slaves as currency. And here's what's amazing in all this, because the lady, she's given like classic Dawah script from the 1960s. Oh, look at what Christianity did. Islam liberates everyone, guys. Christians ended slavery, and then Christians made the Muslim world. Most of it, you still have it in some places, but made the Muslim world end slavery as well. That's what happened. And what happened? And what do Dawah guys do? Nope. Christianity, those are the kings of slavery, and they're the ones who enslaved the Africans. And then Muslims came along and liberated them. You live in absolute fantasy land that is Dawah. Who have we seen on the Muslim side that is not spouting complete nonsense already? No one.
One of them didn't talk yet, did she? Oh.
Not yet. But she's actually, I remember what she says when the lady actually basically calls on her. And yeah, the other Muslim woman's actually the most clueless. She's the most clueless of the clueless ones on the Muslim side.
But the funny thing is that two of these women have said extremely un-Islamic things, or, things that go very, very much against Islam. And I mean, you could consider one of them basically a kafir, a disbeliever, for what you just said about Muslims and Christians, about the Christian belief in God being accepted and all that. But the other Muslims are not standing up and correcting her, so they're just okay with it. They are either okay with it and they follow this regular principle that Muslims usually follow, which is we don't want to publicly correct a fellow Muslim and embarrass Islam, or they are just as clueless.
Weird stuff, everyone. So, just to recap, Muhammad bought, owned, sold, and traded black African slaves, and Muhammad's followers institutionalized the African slave trade long before the United States even existed.
Yes.
And yet, we're told, hey, Christians got a problem here because they're all about slavery. Think about this. The United States, slavery didn't last a century in the United States. People instantly started calling, you got a problem here. We can't lay it down as a rule that all men are created equal and still have this slavery. And so there was this constant pressure. We got to do something about this. Slavery didn't last a century till it was abolished. It lasted many, many, many centuries in the Muslim world. Why? Because Muhammad's their pattern of conduct. Muhammad.
It is called the Trans-Saharan slave trade, and it lasted significantly longer than any other slave trade that is known and that is so systematic. It started out before the 7th century, but the 7th century basically turned it into a systematic form of slavery, and it hasn't even fully ended yet. There are still places where slavery is kind of continued in Africa, but it officially started abolishing or being abolished after Christians abolished it, and after Christians forced Muslims to abolish it. So Muslims really shouldn't talk about slavery, man.
No, and it's seriously fascinating, right? Because it's not just Muslims. You'll have everyone else. Oh, you're talking about Christianity. What about slavery in the Bible, dude? Why do you object to slavery at all? Because Christians were so successful in convincing people that slavery is wrong because of Christian ideas that they even convinced atheists and everyone else. And then everyone uses it to attack Christianity. You see the same thing with Muslims. Christians eventually made Muslim countries get rid of slavery never would have crossed Muslims' mind. Why? Muhammad's a pattern of conduct, and Muhammad bought, owned, sold, and traded black African slaves. How are you going to say it's wrong without condemning Muhammad? And yet Muslims will use it as dawah. Christianity, it's all about slaves. Islam, we liberate them. My goodness, this is stupid. Let's get back to this super genius.
Enslaved when they got there, when they got to America, enslaved by Christians who used the Bible to inform and justify the slavery of Africans, referring to a dark skin in the Bible. I forget.
Where?
Beginning
Where?
with H. But anyway, it was justified through the Bible, and
Excuses.
they were
dark skin. Yeah. If you're thinking about passage about dark skin, there's a bunch in the Muslim sources, and we just read about Muhammad's black slaves.
enslaved. Families, they were bred. Families were separated. Children were, what is it called? Sold. And, yeah. And then the Africans,
like they were by your prophet, huh?
Here's the funny
they
thing.
were.
Here's the funny thing. She has only one very minor point, which is that yes, there were Christians that did use the Bible in order to argue that slavery is okay, or that slavery is good, or that slavery is justified. The thing is, these were usually very, very, very vague appeals and vague attempts, and there was also the counter side that always argued that slavery is not justified, that slavery is immoral, that slavery is bad. The first abolitionists of slavery were around over 1,500 years ago, long before Islam existed, and they were Christians. They were Christians. They were Christian theologians who said that it is absolutely immoral and not in line with the laws put upon man by God to own another person, to have slaves. So this is the thing. Yes, you have some people who will argue actually slavery is okay at some points in history based on the Bible. Then you will have most of them actually argue that it's not okay. But the thing is, this is just a matter of interpretation, of a very bad interpretation, if someone to argue that the Bible does allow slavery. Whereas in Islam, it's not really up to interpretation. It's quite clear. Muhammad owned slaves. Muhammad bought and sold slaves. Muhammad encouraged the buying and selling of slaves and the taking of slaves. The Quran clearly talks about the owning of slaves and deals with it as something normal, as a matter of justice. It even says, is the slave and the free person equal? So how can I don't remember the entire reference, but that's basically the gist of it. Is a slave and a free person equal? No. So this is the Islamic way. It's not up to interpretation. It's quite clear in Islam. It's not quite clear in Christianity. On the other hand, Christians were the ones who got rid of it, not Muslims.
And once again, nothing this woman is saying is remotely connected to the topic. Just to recap. Hey, Muslim woman says, I think everyone goes to heaven as long as they believe in God and they do good things. That's what the Quran says. Surah 2, verse 62. Okay, what about all these other passages that say you have to, you can't believe false things about God. You can't believe in Jesus as divine. You can't believe in the Trinity. Oh, I say you're still fine with all that as long as you're believing in God. Okay, well, if all it requires is believing in God and you're saying we believe in God, why are Muslims persecuting Christians across the Muslim world? Why is that sort of thing happening? Her response, but look at the Christians, they enslaved black. Okay, you just went massively off topic, lady. When the Christian woman brought up persecution of Christians, it wasn't just, oh, persecution's bad. Let's talk about persecution. Let's talk about bad things. It's, if what this woman said is correct, why do you guys go after Christians and defend it by saying it's because Christians have false beliefs? How is a Muslim woman saying you're fine with us believing in Jesus as the Son of God and the Trinity and so on? How are you saying that's fine and it's not a problem, it's not a deal breaker, we still go to heaven? If that's the case, why are you guys attacking us? We're going to heaven. We're going to heaven according to you. Why are you attacking us? Seems like you don't actually believe it's okay for us to believe in these things. That's what it seems like. What's your response? Well, the Crusades. What about the Crusade? Okay, then you're an idiot. Sorry to say.
They were even eaten by Christians who justified all this behavior using the Bible. And I'm saying that not to criticize the Bible, but to criticize the interpretation
Better not criticize
of
the Bible.
And I'm sure there are plenty of people who do not agree with that interpretation of the Bible. But interpretation of the Bible has been used to justify Christian manifest destiny. And then you have the Native Americans. 56 million Native Americans genocided, gone. And now, by the beginning of the 20th century, you had 330,000 Native Americans left.
I respect everything you said. I do believe in history, and thank you for the historical lesson. I just think I want to highlight this part. She asked a question about something that's in your text, and she was requesting for it to be addressed. You brought up historical stuff. So things that people did, right? People did outside of the Bible and misuse the Bible. See, you didn't bring up a scripture where it says humans or Christians, any of the disciples, any leader doing that type of behavior, but you brought up his history. So I don't know how that answered the question as a person trying to gain understanding, but I do want to highlight that from the response.
Yeah, that's a great point. And
On top of that, that was also not the topic. The topic was, once again, how can you say that you accept us as believers and we can go to paradise and all that if your people are persecuting us all over the world as we speak?
Yeah. In other words, either you're wrong when you say we're fine, even though we believe Jesus is the Son of God and we believe in the Trinity. Put it this way, you're either right about that or you're wrong about that. If you're right about that, why do you have all these Quran claims that say you're wrong? And why are you guys persecuting? In other words, if you're right, we need to get that message out to all the people who are persecuting Christians. We need to get that message out. Hey, the Christians are fine. You don't need to attack them. The Christians are going to paradise. Why are you attacking them? We need to get that message out. Or you're wrong, in which case we need to correct you. And yet, this lady just goes off on tangent land.
My criticism isn't for the Bible. My criticism is for the interpretation of the Bible.
Then it
and
has
the
nothing to do with the
interpretation
topic, lady.
is historical record. This is why I bring up history.
So what you're saying is you cannot follow a topic and you just ramble on with stuff that you basically use to attack Christianity. Great job.
Some of the history that you brought up was kind of skewed, right? So when you were even speaking about the Crusades, like what was that a response to? Islamic conquest. So, and chattel slavery is expressly forbidden in the Bible. So you're talking about people who claim to be Christians that are misinterpreting things, but still there are things that are explicitly in the Quran that weren't addressed. And that's kind of what we as Christians...
We were trying to seek the answers.
I wanted to speak to the prompt about hell. I sometimes have had conversations with Muslims, and they seem to kind of, I guess, shy away from the fact that hell is in their text, and that's okay because it's in our text too. Yeah. And so they try to paint this picture that, oh no, it's not there. But I did some research and I found out that the Quran actually talks about hell and mentions hell more times than the New Testament mentions hell. One verse that comes to mind is Surah 98:6. It says that the polytheist and those that subscribe to the book, something along those lines, they will be in hell because they're the lowest of creatures. So I think what helps gaps not be...
It's interesting because she's bringing this up as talking about hell because why? Because the issue was, are Christians also going to paradise according to Islam? She brings it up to talk about hell, but that verse specifically says that Jews and Christians who reject Muhammad will be in the fire of hell. They are the worst of creatures.
The worst.
And that completely contradicts what the original woman said. You don't have to believe in the Quran. You don't have to believe in the Quran and Muhammad. As long as it says you have to believe in God. So as long as you believe in God, you're good to go. 98:6 says if you reject Muhammad in the Quran, you're going to hell. So
bridge is when there's kind of this veiling of truth. There's a lot of text in the Quran that mention hell for people that do not believe, especially shirk, for me putting my faith and trust in Jesus Christ. On your belief, I'm going to hell. And so we have that in our text as well. And that's what makes a distinction between our faiths. That's one of the things that makes a distinction.
So the next prompt is, the Quran is the final and complete.
What's up?
Pause. So I just want to point out how There's one little grievance here, which is that the Christian side got sidetracked by the Muslim side because the Muslim side couldn't follow the discussion, so they had to change the topic, and the Christian side, unfortunately, got sidetracked by that. However, even after that, the Christian side just completely dominated the topic here, and the Muslim side just appears as if they don't have any answer to the question. So,
and it still appears they know nothing. The Muslim side knows not only nothing about Christianity, nothing about Islam as well, and the Christian side knows about Christianity and Islam. Isn't that interesting? That's fascinating stuff. All right, guys. So this is about an hour and a half debate. We've gone through two of the sections. We'll just go through one more on the Quran is the final and complete revelation of God. We'll check out this section, and then I've got the link in the description if you want to watch the rest of it. Although I have to say, later on I'll finish watching it, but apparently people really like this debate, so maybe we'll watch some more of it on a different.
I think we should continue watching it tomorrow on my channel as well.
Okay, we can.
Maybe we can watch one section or two sections on my channel.
Yeah, that's good. So we'll watch one more section here on my channel, and then I mean, it's always possible that some big breaking news happens, and we'll do that tomorrow. But sounds like we'll be going through more of this. It's cool because it is cool. There's been tons and tons and tons of debates against with between guys and stuff like that. It is interesting to see the lady. Notice they're being very respectful of each other and stuff like that, and not like jumping in on each other and cutting each other off and stuff. So is interesting.
That's kind of the lame side of it because nobody has said you've been humiliated. I will
me strong than you. It is cool to not see that. Recycle Bin Laden says Christina better pull up the Al-Zut, but not like Mo. It would have been. Yeah. I haven't seen it all, but it would be awesome if someone brought up the Al-Zut. Well, it's just like the Al-Zut, just like randomly. Well, it's just like the Zut. That would be awesome and classic. Christina was awesome, and the girl with glasses. Yeah, this is what I saw earlier. Mentioning the girl with glasses. Anybody who unironically says, I identify as, insert something here, is someone I probably can't have a serious conversation with. So, yeah, I identify as a black American Muslim woman. That's what she said.
That was a bit cringy.
It is. Like, what do you mean I identify? Why don't you say, I'm a black American Muslim woman? Like, what is the I identify as? I don't get that.
I mean, why did you have to specify that she's black? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But... Yeah, because it's like I identify. Muslim. Yeah, I identify as black. Like I could identify as white. So this sounds like I don't know. It's weird. Sounds like the leftist syndrome. Anyway, random question: did you guys know the word Hamas, violence in Hebrew, is mentioned in the Old Testament? God bless you both. Did you know that, AP?
I have heard of the theory. Yes.
It's not a theory. Hey, we can get confirmation. Ash, is that true? Ash, you're there.
Yes, it is.
Ash is there saying, I identify as Ezra. Now all the Jews will start worshiping me because I identify as Ezra. Lamb Apologetic says, praying for you, AP. Hope your personal healing goes well. Also, base Christian women versus hotel wives. Oh, that's messed up. Base Christian.
Thank you, Lamb Apologetics. Appreciate it.
Another great game idea is you play as Diha Al-Kalbi, and the goal of the game is to leave Muhammad's room before anybody catches you. Yeah, you got to sneak out. So you got to sneak out of the house after. Wow. I was bullied through childhood. Children are sinful. Yeah, again. I mean, kids learn to lie pretty darn quick. I mean, you have a baby and the baby's crying. I fed the baby. I changed the baby. What's wrong? I'm holding the baby. Baby's still crying. Oh, maybe that baby's a liar. Can't even speak. It's like, I want you to do what I want, even though there's nothing wrong. Anyway.
Babies are kind of dumb,
Yeah, they're pretty stupid. You can argue with them all day. They don't make any sense.
Yeah.
There was once another historical debate titled 30 Pagan Al-Zut versus 1 Muslim PDF. The pagans won hands down. Oh, yeah. The pagans won hands down, and Muhammad lost butt up. APD would you be open to doing a stream with Ken Kenobi, a Japanese YouTuber? He speaks English and he is outspoken about the rise of Islamists in Japan. I'm not familiar with that channel, but I do like helping out people who are trying to inform people in other parts of the world where they might not know anything about Islam because they haven't had a reason to be interested, and all of a sudden they see a problem all of a sudden and they're like, hey, we need to do some stuff on that. So yeah.
Yeah, I would be happy. Sure.
Yep. 1, these Momo women are lucky they invaded Christian country. 2, all Momos worship a PDF file and all use kids as shields a moral debate with women that think Rex is human right. Zut Nation, stand up. Oh, hi, Dr. Diddy. Zut Nation. Wow, Momo was John Calvin. Oh, as far as like God has already decided everything. Hiya Coffee, just pick one that is easy to read first. Oh, this was someone asking about the Bible. Just pick one that is easy to read first. English Standard or NIV are good starts. None of the core teachings are changed in those versions. Yeah, any of the mainstream versions are pretty good translations. The main thing you'll want to be looking for is, do you want sort of a like literal word for word type translation? If so, English Standard or English Standard Version or New American Standard. Or do you want something that's kind of easier to read? And if so, then go like NIV or something like that. But yeah, any of them. Some people just like the kind of old English for religious text, and so you could go King James, even though people read King James all their life and they think that's what a book's supposed to sound like. I mean, the New Testament's written in Koine Greek. It was like the language of common people. It wasn't meant to be fancy and stuff. But my point is, the general rule is get the translation that you're most likely to read, right? That's the general rule. So whatever you're going to be most inclined to read. So what I would do is go to something like Bible Gateway, pull up a passage of the Bible, read a couple of the main translations, see what you prefer.
NKJV.
Yeah, and the one you really need, of course, is the Schofield.
Yeah.
4 Christian women versus 4 whiteboards. What's wrong with people, man? Oh, because the Ali Dawah. That would be funny if all the Muslim women pulled out whiteboards and could only communicate through the whiteboards because their voices aren't allowed to be heard. Hang on. Wives are property in Islam. Owning people is illegal in U.S. and U.K. Therefore, Islamic marriages should be illegal in the U.S. and U.K. Yep, they should. Why did Mo only bathe with chipmunks? Oh, it's a joke. Hang on. Why did Mo only bathe with chipmunks? And we have the answer. So he wouldn't be made fun of for 1.8-inch member. Why are people mean, man? We're having a nice, friendly debate. These ladies are all having a friendly debate, and men are trying to ruin it with silly jokes. The lady is taking this half-brain stuff too seriously. I've been watching the Scottish Korean. He would say bacon protects you from stupidity.
Wait a minute. Somebody said that Korean Scott sent both of us emails.
He did send me emails.
No
I just haven't gotten around to responding yet.
Did I miss it? I don't really know. I'll check. I just remembered that.
If Italian Cameron reviews this, he'll be like, but you 4 Christian women aren't even 8th century apologists. Yeah, he'll be sitting there. Oh, did you know about this Christian woman in the year 862 who said this one sentence? This proves that she's greater than all of you combined. Oh, no, he wouldn't be saying like, you go, did you know about the pizza lady from Sicily? And she said this on their menu, and it's way better than anything anyone else said. It's a weird dude, man. Weird dude. Let's see. Leviticus 5:17 refutes the notion of sin without account. The children in Deuteronomy 1:39 are noted in Numbers 30-11 as under 20. Most versions distinguish children from little ones. Little ones can definitely sin. Children equals descendants.
Powerful.
Saw a headline and already knew it was an L for Islam. Yeah, I was guessing that. Especially when I saw Lady Logic was on the Christian squad. Zut meat lasts forever. What's wrong with people? Let's talk about meat wouldn't decay if it wasn't for the children of Israel. People are messed. I shouldn't have said no jokes about women, but you can still use zut jokes because some people just decided to go all in on zut jokes. As the saying goes, without lies, Islam dies. Yeah, isn't it interesting? Because again, this isn't a criticism of women. It's the same thing with Dawa guys. It's people just keep saying things that are the opposite of what the Muslim sources say. It's weird stuff. That white Lily J can't take that black soul fire. Yeah, gosh, how awesome would that be to see Mrs. Chef Logic cooking up Lily J. The religion of, in my opinion, yeah, it does seem to be that. Well, in my opinion, you can't trust the hadith at all. So I appear to have caught your disease. YouTube isn't working properly this morning, and neither is my laptop now. It's all zooted. Yeah, isn't that weird? Because you were just having problems with StreamYard the last time we were using it, getting that weird echo and stuff. It's weird. For years, I'm just totally ghetto, and I'm using crap stuff, and I think, won't it be great if I can afford to get some awesome tricked out computer and stuff, and I get it, and it doesn't even work. Stuff still doesn't work. Doesn't matter what I could have $1 trillion. Anyway, former Blackwater chief Eric Prince has called on Pope Leo XIV to help fund private security operations aimed at protecting Christians facing brutal persecution in Nigeria. Got to do something, dude.
Nice.
Got to do something.
I see that the Nigeria topic is currently gaining some traction.
That's good. It's glad.
That's good.
Yeah, for years it's basically like Robert Spencer and a couple other people talking about it, and we'd cover attacks on This Week in Jihad and stuff like that. But still, it's just like, how is no one talking about this? You'd have like massacres and churches, entire church of people slaughtered and stuff, and not a peep about it. It's good that people are actually catching on. I say Nigeria has to be broken up, Christian Nigeria and Muslim Nigeria. I would love it if people could get along and live together, but if Muslims are just obsessed with slaughtering them, all right, you've got a massive Christian section of that country, and you've got a massive Muslim section of the country. If Muslims cannot play well with other people, all right, you got to be somewhere else. Deus Volt. Orthodox Christians were the reasons for the Crusades. They called the Pope for help against the Caliphate expansion into Byzantium. Yes,
that's true.
Then they all got killed.
And then they got zooted for it.
Just realized Charles Martel isn't canonized saint. What? Dude's a legend, man.
There's probably a reason for
It's gross how misleading they are, or blatant lies. Yeah, it's still amazing. It's like Muslim debaters, men or women, they could just make stuff up or share what their personal feelings are the entire time, and that's supposed to be taken seriously. Allah, the first to use the 99-1 rule, 1094. That would be an example of the 99-1 rule. You could use that. Yeah, that is correct. Please pray for my miscarried grandchild funeral tomorrow. Well, I know what that's like. Wonder how many women stay in Islam knowing it's false because they don't want to be killed for leaving or questioning. D. Wood saw your video in Dearborn recently. It's especially hard for women. That's why when they get a revert, when they get one of these women to revert, remember Muhammad Hijab said revert women take it best, and so they really love the revert women, and so that's why they lie to them and fill their heads with complete nonsense and so on. That's why they instantly try marrying them and getting them pregnant and so on. They want to make it difficult to leave. They want it to like wreck your life if you try to leave Islam.
This is very, very interesting. Well, it's funny that Ash just brought this up, but I never thought about Charles Martel. But there's apparently there are several reasons why he has never been canonized or considered saintly. While his acts are appreciated, he has apparently engaged in seizing church properties, persecution and stuff like that, which is why especially certain saints that are very, very important in the church have condemned him in his lifetime. So yeah, interesting.
Yep. So I can see denying him saint status and so on in spite of the significance of some of the things he did. With that said, I'll say it again. A lot of the people who are most willing to risk their lives for stuff are people who have done some stuff, right? In other words, you have personality traits where you're aggressive, you're a risk taker, things like that. And so you'll stand up against something like Islam. But those kind of personalities are usually guys who cross some lines throughout their lives and so on.
I wonder why the Zut never got canonized.
Hey, Life Rant says, yeah, the black Muslim that speaks next is confused, didn't even need to be there. Yeah, I saw right after she started speaking. That's when I had to board the plane. But yeah, what she said was not helpful. What she said was not helpful at all. Diddy Wood is king of the Zut. Yes, he is. Going to launch the Zut squad. David is a G, flies back and forth to my conference across the country and still has energy to go live tonight. Yeah.
Nice.
I flew back on the red eye. AP, Sneeko talked about you on your Charlie appearance. What?
Where?
Dude, you should make a little video. Sneeko's funny, man. He's kind of a doofus in a lot of ways, but he's kind of cool in certain ways, and he's pretty funny in a lot of ways.
I actually recorded a video addressed to Sneeko quite a while ago, like last year or so, but I never published it. It was like a message to Sneeko.
You should check out what he said. So I'm assuming this on Rumble, but
I can't track it down, but wherever it is, I might check it out.
Yeah, guys. Hey, Paul. Why don't you leave a message? Why don't you post a comment afterwards, just a regular comment, or send AP a message somehow, and tell him where that is so he can find it. When a species' natural predators... Oh, yeah, and it was weird. After I posted my video about how Muslims were reacting to Charlie Kirk and condemning Sneeko for saying that he was praying for him, Sneeko unblocked me on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh, man.
That's why it's cool if he's actually watching something about you.
That's cool.
When a species...
I think I'm still blocked from him. Yeah, pretty sure.
When a species' natural predators are gone, they begin to multiply and spread out of control. We need the Al-Zut back. They keep the jihadi population under control. Al-Zut, moon splitting. It all makes sense now. Yeah. That's the real background for the splitting the moon story. Based early America fought Islamic slave traders and pirates, Barbary pirates. This U.S. Navy was established in response. Hey, Isa, watch this video. The Christian women had better arguments and better rebuttals. They actually knew the subject material and knew the assignment. And this is from Isa, guys. Hey, Isa, I saw your message about joining us live. Why don't you send a list of your 4 or 5 favorite topics to discuss, and then we'll do some live streams. Especially AP is going to be gone for 1,000 years. I'll be everywhere. Hey, everyone watching who wants to go live. AP's about to be gone. We'll all go live, and people will forget about him.
I'm going to be gone to Israel for 2 weeks or so. And since I'm gone for that long, I'm thinking maybe I should just, stay there and live there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I'll be gone there in Israel. Would also like to meet up with Israelis. Maybe I'll do like a fan meeting or something. That'd be funny.
You should. God bless D Wood and AR. Who's AR? Anthony Rogers?
Yeah, Anthony Rogers.
Yep. Islam, the big, beautiful, abusive relationship. That's what it is.
Thank you.
We have Ash, D Wood, and AP. If Pope Leo funds Operation Zut to the rescue in Nigeria to save Christians, will you become Catholic? A crusade will never happen. Yes, I will. If Pope Leo says he's starting Operation Zut to the rescue, and he sends a bunch of Jat people to rescue the Christians, I will convert to Catholicism.
Immediately.
That will be such legend status I will not be able to resist. Should they ask the Muslim women there if their husbands have planned any pilgrimages into the desert night to be just like Mo? That might imagine. What's her name? Doctor what?
Dr. Daff.
Dr. Daff. Imagine,
Yeah.
imagine Dr. Daff just question. Even if she just said, "What's this I've been hearing about these zut?" That would be instant legend status, guys. If you want legend status, there is a very, very, very quick, easy way to do it. Just bring up the al-zut. Even the Muslim women are hostile. Lord have mercy. Well, the one woman was. She went completely off topic and so on to blast away at Christianity. So far, the Muslim women, they don't seem to know what they're talking about. But overall, people are being respectful going back and forth. All right, let's go ahead and check out this new section and hear from the woman we haven't heard from. She's going to explain that the Quran is the final and complete revelation of God. Everyone ready? Be prepared to have your minds blown out the back of your skull. Be prepared to convert to Islam based on this powerful da'wah you're about to hear. Get ready for this da'wah. Here we go.
Revelation of God. All right, so maybe someone who hasn't
Shocker
spoken
on
a
the
lot. I haven't heard from you yet.
Yes, so I do believe that the Quran is the final testament of Allah because, the Torah was brought down and so was the Bible, but they were...
The Torah was brought down and so was the Bible. I have to say, guys, so just so everyone knows, the Torah is part of the Bible. But I do like the fact that she just said that the Bible was brought down. So it's all revelation, according to what she just said. The Bible was brought down. It's not how it works. That's not how it works, but it's better than what I hear from a lot of Muslims.
So here's the thing. If you ask the average Muslim out there, not Muslims who engage in online discussions with other people, if you ask the average Muslim that is just living their lives about the scriptures, they are very likely to tell you, yeah, we believe that the Torah and the Bible have been sent down by Allah. This is because of Islamic ignorance. So Muslims are taught on a very surface level, on a very basic level, that Allah sent down the scriptures, such as the Torah and the Injil. And when asked what Injil is, they will say that it's the scripture of the Christians. And what is the scripture of the Christians? It's the Bible. That's it. It takes further learning and interacting with people to figure out what Injil actually is in reference to. Like, this is, for example, how I grew up as well. Growing up, I thought, okay, Injil and Torah, that's, I guess, Bible and Torah. That's what you are told, basically, on a very simple, basic level. Because this is also a clear sign and a clear instance of Islam just being completely detached and disconnected from biblical tradition, right? Islam doesn't have the Bible. Islam doesn't have biblical texts. It only talks about them in a very ignorant way, but doesn't have them. Some Muslims don't really know what the Torah is and what the Injil is, what the Gospels are. So they just talk about them as these scriptures that were sent down. This woman is an example of just that. She is quite ignorant and shouldn't be sitting there, man.
This is interesting. Whoa, he's back. Okay.
What?
Let's see. What? Oh, okay, so Pol says, I'm looking. Oh, gosh, it's all this old stuff. This is crazy, man. Sneako's back on YouTube. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, they just unblocked him.
Yeah, so Pol says, this is the name of the video. Sneeko claims Israel and the Jews did 9/11, but completely forgets this part. I don't see that on Sneeko's channel, so is that someone else's video?
That is by Sahar TV. Let me see. I'll check that out.
All right, so you have the reference so you can check it out?
Yeah.
We'll be good. We'll be good. All right, good. All right, we got all that covered. Ladies and gentlemen. And it is interesting, because Yosef here said it. Sneeko's back to YouTube. Sorry, I'm 5 minutes behind watching at 1.5 speed. That is interesting, because he's been asking for a long time, and I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually better if YouTube just doesn't try to control everything everyone says. As far as like stuff that Sneeko said, I think the big thing that got him in trouble was he was talking about some feminist woman and basically said that she needs to get. Sounded like he was saying she needs to get sexually assaulted. I think that was the main thing that got him kicked off. But also, he's a young guy. If you want to punish him and leave him off for a while, that's cool. But I'm glad he's back on. So we all make mistakes, and I don't think you should be like permanently kicked off YouTube, even if you screw up and say some really nasty stuff. All right, ready?
After like years were misconstructed and they were
and just to be clear, Sneeko was joking. He wasn't seriously saying this needs to happen to a woman. He was joking. He carried it too far. It was messed up. I think it would be fine to like punish him and stuff like that, but I've never liked these permanent bans by YouTube. So anyway, yeah, Sneeko's on a journey. I think everyone needs to be watching that journey because it is interesting. This guy jumped into Islam and then over time is finding out what it actually teaches, and it's bothering him a lot. And so this is actually fun to watch. But here we go.
I just checked it out. I just checked out the video. So it's just he's sitting down with this guy, Digital Social Hour, Sean Kelly, who also interviewed me, and that guy actually brings me up. He says that Charlie brought on people who were critical of Islam, including, he mentions me then and says, who was a Muslim who converted to Christianity. And Sneeko then says, oh yeah, I know him. He was an atheist. And then I guess he just became a Christian out of nowhere. But these people are just paid.
That's funny. It is hilarious. Sneeko just out of nowhere. Yep, I'm converting to Islam. When we know they're paying people to convert to Islam, we've heard it over and over again. But then, yeah, if you say anything you disagree, it's, you're being paid. Yeah.
So Sneeko argues that I am apparently paid to convert to Christianity and talk trash about Islam and talk well of Israel. So I would like to compare our incomes and our checks, Sneeko. I would really love that.
That is funny. These guys who are like millionaires for what they say about Islam. Whatever, they're getting paid. Oh,
he's living large. He's living his life. He's spending time over there with his rich friends over in the Arab oil countries. I don't have anywhere near the wealth that you have, Sneeko.
You could you could play that clip and make a little video out of that, making that point that how are we so poor if we're the ones getting paid, and how come all the guys we're responding to are rich and they're not getting paid? This is just silly.
Wow.
All right.
Were misconstructed and they were bastardized. So the Quran came down and corrected everything.
Let me back up.
Is the final testament of Allah, because the Torah was brought down and so was the Bible, but they were after like years were misconstructed and they were bastardized. So the Quran came down and corrected everything that was basically taken out of context. So the Quran is, in my view, a perfect book as a Muslim. It's my perfect book, and I'm just speaking for myself right now, so just let someone else talk.
So that Christian Muslims.
What do you think are the odds? What do you think are the odds that this lady knows anything about the Quran? I accidentally clicked way forward.
She knows nothing about anything. Why is she even sitting there? Why is she even sitting there? She's like, this is so ridiculous. She's like, well, and these are just my thoughts, and maybe somebody else should speak up because I don't have anything else to say.
The Quran corrects the Bible that was sent down, and that's why I think it's the perfect and last testament.
This is the thing, like, with all due respect, if you go out into the public and sit down and have a public debate and speak about these matters, you're going to put yourself under scrutiny and your words as well. If you decide to go public and decide to have public discussions, you're no longer speaking just for yourself. You're no longer just representing yourself. You are now trying to have an impact on the public. This is why you go out. I understand that you might just say, "Oh, this is just my opinion. This is just what I do. It's just my thoughts." I'm sorry, it's too late for that. You are public now. You are part of a debate. You are now part of the global influence, and everything that you say should be scrutinized very strictly. and
Anything
very
you
clearly.
say can and will be used against you, ma'am. No mercy here.
Yes. Yes. People should do the same thing with me. People should do the same thing with David. People should do the same
Don't
thing
mess
with
with me.
anybody.
Don't mess with me.
Anybody who goes out and who speaks in public. And for her to go out here to be so terribly misinformed and then do this, I mean, why? Why do you do this to yourself?
Hey, I mentioned this before the other day, but people are still posting fake movie titles with Zut in it. And Hungry Goat just said, "Zut me if you can," and so on. You have a bunch of these. They're going on and on.
I just
like the El
thought
Zut.
of
What?
I just thought of the naked Zut.
Oh yeah. Yeah, guys, I mentioned anyone who wants to goof off, use AI or Photoshop or something like this. Make some fake movie posters about this stuff, right? Take the original movie poster, do some AI or Photoshopping, make it different, and change the title to something with Zut, and send those on to us or share them on X and flag us and stuff like that, and it'd be fun stuff.
Sin
Fun
Zuti.
stuff. Fun stuff.
Bastardized. So the Quran came down and corrected everything.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you, Quran.
basically taken out of context.
Corrected it by affirming it.
So the Quran is, in my view, a perfect book as a Muslim. It's my perfect book.
Keep in mind, did she give anything that could be considered even a slight bit of evidence in favor of the Quran being a perfect book? Did you hear anything there? Did you hear anything?
Well, she just said it's perfect to me.
It's perfect to me, and that's all that counts, because I identify as the Quran being perfect. I
I mean,
identify
let's-
as someone who believes the Quran is perfect.
To
And
me,
you
this
can't-
book is perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm just speaking for myself right now, so I'll just let someone else talk.
So if there are hadiths, for instance, hadiths, yeah, that aren't reliable, how do you decide what documentation is good to read for the Quran? And then also, can you tell us how the Torah was corrupted and why it's not trustworthy?
Guys, that was interesting. 'Cause notice she just brought up what the other Muslim woman said. I love how they're using what the various women say against the panel, right? But she just brought up the other Muslim ones. Even Sahih hadiths can be completely unreliable. So how could you even verify like where the Quran came from, and how would you even know? Because you can't trust those sources. So hey, you threw your own hadiths under the bus. So how do we even know much about the Quran and how to interpret it and where it came from and how it was revealed and so on? How do we know any of that stuff? Interesting.
This is a very good objection. Very good objection, and a very good follow-up question as well.
Why it's not trustworthy? Because, well, in the Quran, it basically corrects everything that was misconstrued. So say
Where?
if there's like a contradiction in the Bible, one verse says what you're supposed to do, and another verse says what you're not supposed to do in relation to two verses, but I haven't read the Quran. It just doesn't make sense. Like, why would one verse say you're supposed to do this, but in turn, in another verse, I'm supposed to do it, but in a certain way, or just taken out of context completely? Like I said, I never read the Bible, so I don't know what it says.
I'm sitting here telling you the Quran is the perfect book because it corrects all the errors in the Bible. I've never read the Bible, but well, why are you talking about this then? How could you? Why should you be taken seriously when you're talking about the Quran being a perfect book because it corrects the errors of the Bible, and you say you have no idea what's in the Bible? What do you actually mean, ma'am? What you mean is you heard this nonsense from a bunch of Dawa guys and you never, ever bothered to look into it. You just mindlessly accepted what Dawa guys told you. But guess what? I could have told you that even before you started speaking.
Ma'am, that was
Because
absolutely
that's
terrible.
every single person I see. representing Islam. This is what I heard from a Dawah guy. No, it has no connection to reality. No, it doesn't line up with my sources, but that doesn't matter because it's the religion of Dawah.
Man, that was about the dumbest thing I've heard all day.
It was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
And I've never read the Torah, but I know they're books from God. And the Quran was sent down as the last book.
She just said, I've never read the Bible and I've never read the Torah, but I know they're books from God. This is interesting. So the Bible and the Torah again.
Correct every mistake that everyone else basically misconstructed about those books. They were brought from God, but over time they were corrupted. Not the pages in them, how people interpreted it.
Oh! That's the first thing she said that made sense. She just said, not the text. They didn't corrupt the text. They corrupted the interpretation. So Islam is coming along to correct misinterpretations. That, I want to point out, that you can defend from the Quran. You can defend the claim that the Quran claims to be correcting misinterpretations of the Torah and the Gospel, or the Torah and the Bible, as she puts it. You do get that impression that Jews and Christians have misinterpreted and misrepresented our text, and the Quran is correcting us on our misrepresentations and so on. That you can actually say. So it's crazy to say it, and I think it's by accident, but she accidentally is way more accurate than most Muslims on this issue. Let me back that up. Guys, again, what she just said, very important, very important. It's not the text of the books that was corrupted. It was the interpretations of the books that was corrupted. And so that is actually very interesting. And again, she is much closer to what the Quran says than what you typically hear from Muslims. Here we go.
Man, we probably done what you just said, but that was quite accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Every mistake that everyone else basically misconstructed about those books. They were brought from God, but over time they were corrupted. Not the pages in them, how people interpreted it.
Not the pages in them, how people interpreted it. Amen, sister. You just went to the top of the panel. You went to the top of your panel.
Let me get this straight, lady. Where in the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You're saying that's not corrupted. It's just the interpretation that is corrupted. So when it clearly identifies Jesus as God, that's just people accidentally misconstructing that with their opinions. That makes zero sense, lady. But you got that right.
We'll find out.
So the Quran was brought to correct everything else, and so was Muhammad, peace be upon him. And what was the other question you said, the first one?
We'll have a question for you.
Okay.
So in what ways does the Quran correct or
Good question.
confirm the things that
I've never read it, so I
you're
don't
saying
know.
were...
Confirm the Day of Judgment, and I believe there are other things, but I don't want to get my words a little jumbled up or offend anyone, because I haven't read the Torah or the Bible in its completed. Like, I know there are books, but I haven't.
Wow.
I don't want to get my words not misinterpreted, but I don't want to misuse my words if I'm not correct on something. And I have no business speaking
So
on
do you
it.
think it's unfair to make a claim that you haven't read the Bible nor the Torah, but then consider them as corrupt scriptures, when these scriptures have been out for centuries, BC, right? Before Christ, they have been passed down, written down. You're telling me throughout all those years that there have been practices of these scriptures. Allah, your God, basically allowed all these people to be deceived into thinking that these things are right when the whole time they aren't wrong. When the whole time that they're wrong. When did it start that it was confirmed? What date or what historical time was it confirmed that these scriptures that are historical documents for all that these historical documents are a contradiction or need to get corrected?
Ouch. So on the one hand, she's asking the sort of when, where, why, how questions, like, okay, when did this happen? When did all this stuff happen? But also, like, did Allah just drop the ball? He's revealing scriptures, and then he's just letting, and then somehow, now to be fair, she originally sounded like she was saying the text has been corrupted, and the Quran came to correct that. But when she actually continued speaking, She said it's not the text that had been corrupted, it's the interpretations. And so you'd have to ask, why did Allah allow all these corrupt interpretations over the centuries and only corrected them way later after all this stuff is set in stone? Because guess what? According to the Quran, Allah is protecting the true followers of Jesus and making them uppermost. So why would they end up with all these corrupt interpretations? Anyway, actually, interesting stuff here. Let's see.
Allah did not make the people corrupt the pages. They did that themselves.
No, I didn't say
Wait,
that.
now the
I'm
pages
saying,
have been
like,
corrupted.
Basically, how is it that he allows this to happen for so long? Because when did this idea come out that they've been corrupted? When did it come out?
Well, I'm not sure
Okay.
when the year came out, but I do know that, it's in human nature. There is a Quran verse that says, human beings will be human beings, and God does not.
There is a Quran verse that says human beings will be human beings. Everyone, it's chapter 175, verse 47.
If this woman was my partner or my mother or my daughter or something, and she came back from this show, I would say, I have no idea who you are.
And what's crazy, she got one thing correct, but it was so correct that it's like, whoa, you are massively more correct than the vast majority of Muslims on this. And then she took it right back. Oh yeah, they it's human nature to corrupt pages of the text because, as the Quran says, humans will be humans. It's funny.
God does have power over us, but we do have power over ourselves. It's just like how we are.
And I
So
really feel
these
so empowered
things,
right now.
Allah did not allow people to just corrupt these books. They did it themselves.
It is in the
And by the
Quran
way-
mentioned nice and clear.
By the way, as a powerful woman of color, I can also acknowledge that this is absolutely true, and I personally think that the Quran does identify itself as a very powerful and correct book, which identifies itself also as the one that corrects all the others. And as a woman of color who identifies as a Black Muslim woman, I personally do believe in that as well. But don't ask me any further questions, please. Thank you.
I guess we should all convert to Islam based on that powerful da'wah.
The Quran speaks for itself that it was preserved, according to Muslims. So the Quran
The Quran speaks for itself that it was preserved. And since we're
Oh,
going
good.
to assume that everything the Quran says is correct, we'll assume that it's right and that it was preserved. And
All right
then, what's that got to do? One, what's that got to do with anything? I mean, you read your Muslim sources. They talk. Here's what's interesting. This is the lady that will throw out the hadith, right? So you could bring up hadiths about entire chapters of the Quran coming up missing, large passages being lost because the only people who had them memorized died in battle, versus being eaten by a sheep. Muhammad's own companions not being able to agree on which chapters are even supposed to be in the Quran. Different Qurans being used in different parts of the world today. You could bring up all that, and I pretty sure she'd be like, nope, the Quran says it's been preserved, and so that's it. Problem is, in the same chapter, so she's thinking of chapter 15, verse 9. Later in the same chapter, it talks about the dividers who made the Quran into shreds. And so, even if you just went with the Quran, guess what? You can't know what it means to make the Quran into shreds unless you go outside the Quran to give you some explanation of why it doesn't mean that they shredded the Quran and really did a bunch of nasty stuff to it. But you can't. So at the end, if you're sticking with the Quran says that people during the time of Muhammad made that book into shreds. They shredded it. And it's always an interesting passage because if the Quran said that about the Torah and the Gospel, every Muslim would point to that. You see, that's where it says the Bible's been corrupted. Right there, where it says they shredded it. They shredded the Torah. They shredded the Gospel. Never says that about the Torah and the Gospel. Says it about the Quran. The harshest language the Quran uses of any book is used of the Quran itself. It says the unbelievers shredded it. Interesting. But let's see.
is intact. It has been preserved and flawless, according to Muslims. The Quran says that the core message within the Bible, within the Old Testament, has not been corrupted.
Where does it say that?
Core message of it, that
Allah says he affirms what Jews and Christians have, the text we have, the text we read, the text we're commanded to judge by. It's not, the core message.
kind of invite the people to the God of Abraham, to Jesus Christ. That's mentioned 18 times in the Quran. Moses, that's mentioned 19 times in the Quran. There's an invitation for these core
Getting some of these good facts we'll have to remember if we're ever on Jeopardy.
This
messages.
is so funny. Muslims think that this is actually impressive. When they say, "Oh
Mentions
yeah,
Jesus 18 times.
the Quran actually mentions this. The Quran actually mentions that. The Quran
Like we're
actually
going to go,
mentions-"
what? It does. I didn't know it mentioned it.
What?
Oh, I'll convert now.
What?
That's what I mean. This is Dawah script, right? It's Dawah script. It's here are the things you say that we think are impressive to people, and just bring them up, and even if it has no connection to any sort of topic. Why? Because they know their fans aren't paying attention. They're just, oh, what? Oh, this is the impressive stuff they're saying. Oh boy.
But because there are so many authors in the New Testament, and there's one author, whether non-Muslim believe the Quran has been revealed to him or he wrote it himself. There's one author. So this is lack of consistency. Muslims see it, and there's room for corruption there because this lack of consistency and multiple authors. That's
You hear this? This is like so insanely stupid. The Quran only has one author, so you can trust it. The Bible has many authors. Can't trust them. There's too much room for inconsistency in there. Like in their minds. So in their minds, having like one witness of something is worse than having like dozens of witnesses of something. Because, well, now you've got a dozen people. They might disagree about something. Oh my goodness, it's better to just have one. It's the same. Keep in mind, it's the same reasoning as like with mine. You got all these different Qurans circulating. We'll just burn them all and issue one. See, that's better. That's better in Islam. This is so stupid.
So everybody, let's say I tell you that something happened in my life at some point, and I'm the only person writing about it. David says that something happened in his life at some point, but there are multiple people that had severe disagreements with each other at some points, but they all write about it and confirm each other. And they also all report that many hundreds of people saw these things. And this is all collected. And all those reports, all those accounts of the things that David experienced, apparently, are collected into one book, into one library. Is that more reliable? Or is my account of just me saying I experienced this, trust me, bro, more reliable?
Better to have one, because then other people can't disagree with it. See? That's the rule. That's the rule. We just heard it. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. All right. Looks like Christina is responding to this. Let's see.
how Muslims see it.
That's an interesting answer, and I get that answer often when I'm speaking with Muslims about whether or not the Quran confirms or corrects the previous scripture. But when I actually read the Quran, it says the exact opposite of the answers that I get from ladies such as yourself. I mean, 1094.
What?
Muhammad, if you are in doubt about what Allah has revealed to you, what it allowed to reveal to Muhammad, the Quran. If you're in doubt about what Allah has revealed, go and ask the people who have been reading the scripture before you. If you doubt the Quran, you're supposed to go and check the previous scripture according to Allah. You have 381, where Allah is telling the prophets that there's a messenger coming after them that's going to confirm all that Allah has given them of the scripture and of the hikmah, right? And so you have over and over again, I mean, there's verse after verse, chapter 2, chapter 5, full of verses about how Muhammad and Muslims are supposed to go back to the previous scripture because the Quran is supposed to come in line with it, confirming what was before, not contradicting it. So then when we see that the Quran contradicts the previous scripture, the answer that I get is that, oh, well, it came to correct it. Nowhere in the Quran or Hadith is the Quran a correction over the previous scripture.
Ouch.
In fact, it's the other way around.
But let's
Ouch! Oh, she just wrecked. She just wrecked all of Islam. Everyone see that? She just cooked all of Islam right there. So notice all these ladies, just the Quran.
Like this.
The Quran came to correct the errors and the blah, 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 and it's more reliable because it comes from one guy, not like the Bible where it's all kinds of... The Quran affirms, right? The Quran over and over again. And yes, and what we revealed to Moses and what we revealed to Isaac and what we revealed to him and what we revealed to Jesus, the Quran's affirming that it's a bunch of people. The Quran affirms that there were a bunch of people who received revelations and so on.
That's right.
And so she points out when you actually go to the Quran, it's not saying, here's the one book because it has one author and therefore it's way better than this other stuff and just go to this. Instead, it's the complete reverse. It's, hey, if you're not sure that this is the true word of God, check and make sure it lines up with the previous scriptures. Does not make sense if it's somehow correcting those previous scriptures. And she laid out a simple request. Where's the Quran saying that it's correcting these previous scriptures? It says confirming over and over and over again. Where's it say correcting? Where? That was multiple levels of shredding here.
That's right. The Muslim women, they don't know nothing, and the Christian
we're about to
women,
find out.
they're here to educate them. They're here to educate them, and they're doing a fantastic job. I wonder if Avery calls her wife logic.
He already says lady logic, man.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I propose wife logic.
you mean like if they're if like so he calls her lady logic in public, but yeah, maybe like in their house he's like, hey, wife logic.
Yeah, probably.
Let's talk about one example.
Let's talk about one example.
For example, the story of Lot in the Bible. When you read the story of Lot, it says that Lot's daughters got him drunk and then slept with him. This story, when you read the same story in the Quran, it's a completely different story. It doesn't say anything about the daughters getting their
Look at them
fathers drunk and
smiling.
sleeping.
look at them smiling. They're already like, you are so cooked, lady. You have no clue what you're
This is
talking
very,
about.
very good. This is
But it's
very good.
Dawa script, right? Notice everything they go, it's, here's an issue. Can you respond rationally to what we're talking about? And what do? They fall back on, let me say something from the Dawa script, even if it makes no sense, even if it makes absolutely zero sense and has no connection to what you were just saying. These are the things I've been trained to just bring up over and over and over again. This was crazy, man.
We consider Lot to be a prophet, and that kind of behavior.
We don't care. Even calling him a prophet, you're pointing out that's the difference between the Bible. Lot's not a prophet in the Bible. He's a prophet according to Islam. And then so notice that's the difference. He's a prophet according to Islam. He's not a prophet according to the Bible. Okay, what's right? Well, the Quran confirms the Bible. So how are you not getting this, lady? How are you not getting this?
So funny, she pointed out, so we consider him a prophet. Okay, if Christians or if Jews, if the Bible does not consider him a prophet, then what exactly is the problem here with the story? What exactly is the problem here? That's number one. Number two is we have just established that the Quran confirms the Bible. So it shouldn't have a different story. It shouldn't have a contradictory story.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have a proper story. The story in the Quran is, every single time, the story in the Quran is much dumber and more ignorant compared to the story in the Bible that it takes it from.
Yeah, crash course for any Muslims who may be watching this and so on. So one, already pointed out, Lot, not a prophet according to the Bible. He's Abraham's nephew. That is who he is. And Lot, according to the Bible, he's the one, Abraham would act based on like faith in God and God's in control no matter what. Lot was always, how can I kind of do this myself? How can I get things right on my own? And what happens is he goes and lives in Sodom and so on, and things don't work out there. God warns him, hey, I'm about to destroy this place. Lot leaves. He goes and hides in a cave with his daughters. Guess what? His daughters think that the entire world has been destroyed. They don't know it's a couple cities. They think the entire world has been destroyed. Why? They say it. They say there's no more men left on the planet. So they decide they have to repopulate the world with the only living human beings left over, which are those two, the daughters, and their dad. They don't think that's a great idea, but they think we have to repopulate the world. We have to. So they know he's not going to do it. They know he's not going to sleep with them. So they get him drunk to reproduce. And then what happens? Their children become the Ammonites and the Moabites, two of the main nations at war with the children of Israel. So what's the takeaway message? Guys, when you when you don't act based on what God is telling you to do and you try to do things on your own, it leads to disaster. It leads to disaster. That's the point. Abraham always operated based on faith in God. Lot tried to do things his own way. And it's not just him that ends up doing screwed up things. It's his descendants who pick up these same ways of doing things. That's the point. So it's actually an important message. Muslims go, oh, it says Lot, who's our prophet, did this. Oh, the prophet can't do that. And they miss everything. And they miss everything. They don't understand it. And then when you actually bring up, hey, you're saying the Quran corrects our book. Where does it do that? All it ever says is that it confirms it. It's, but we believe Lot's a prophet. Your Bible says, and this is so stupid, guys. This is so stupid.
Just to make it clear once again for the Muslims, so in the Bible, and this is where Islam is lacking. This is where the Quran is lacking, because in the Quran you just have these figures appear, but they don't have any further purpose to them. In the Bible, Abraham and Lot are basically a contrast. They are a contrast in terms of wisdom, in terms of morals, in terms of guidance. Lot is still later on remembered, especially in the New Testament, as righteous, because when he goes into and experiences the wickedness that he experiences due to his own choices, you can see the righteous part of him that reacts to the evil that he sees around him, which is what points out that he's righteous. However, within the story of his lifetime, compared to Abraham makes good decisions, and he is a wise one, and he trusts in God, whereas Lot is not being smart. He's not being faithful. He's being disobedient. He's being independent, just doing his his own thing. So he goes, and he's being dumb, and goes to Sodom, which is why it's called Sodom, because it's so dumb, And then, so that is basically the issue. You Muslims don't think about this and don't know about this, which is why you don't understand why bad things happen to him or he does bad things, because you don't get the idea of the Bible here. But in the Bible, this is a very, very good thing to learn from. There is a contrast between trusting God and not trusting God. It's much wiser than your Quran.
And what happens, instead of actually learning the message and understanding it and letting it affect you, you go, it says incest. Me no like that. Me believe the Quran correcting it. Okay, why does the Quran say it's affirming it? No, it's not. Let me reinterpret all of Quran. This is bad, man. Dawah's terrible, man. Dawah's the worst thing ever in the entire universe.
Yeah.
Would make him an abuser, make him a sexual, abuser, make the daughters rapists. Is that the word?
He'd be a victim in this case.
Yeah, he would be a victim. In the biblical version, he's the victim for sure. But in the Quranic version, that story is corrected, and that doesn't happen. They exit the town that they were in, but that kind of story doesn't happen.
So again, that's you telling me that the Quran tells the story differently, so it's correction, where the Quran says the exact opposite, but it's confirming. So when you...
The Quran...
It's awesome. It's cool. She brought it right back. So what does she do? Christina pointed out, hey, you guys say the Quran is correcting. It actually says confirming, and it sets up the Bible as the standard over the Quran, not the other way around. So why are you saying corrected? And then, but look at the story of Lot. See, it's clearly correcting that. And she points out, what? No, you've just shown that the story is different in the Quran. You have not shown me that the Quran is claiming to correct it. In fact, correcting is the opposite of what the Quran says it's doing. So they haven't answered the question. Let's see if they can, AP. Let's see if the Islamic Ladies Brain Trust can figure this out.
It does confirm lots of things. And the Quran also corrects lots of things.
Is there a statement that says the Quran came to correct the Bible or the Torah?
Before we go on, just to your comment or question was of two things to answer. Not everyone can interpret the Quran, and not everyone can read and understand a particular verse out of context. This is very hard.
Very funny
Even Muslims
because you are doing that. You yourself are sitting there and interpreting the Quran.
But did you just see it? Here, what did the Muslim side do? We're going to say that the Quran claims to do something that the Quran never claims it's doing. And then the Christians say, Actually, the Quran claims the opposite. It repeatedly says it's just confirming those scriptures. Those scriptures are as good as gold. Those scriptures are authoritative even over the Quran. So where are you getting correction from? And this other lady jumps in and instantly, well, not everyone can read the Quran. It's it's kind of beyond our understanding, and you don't rip verses out of context and so on. And notice how simple the request was. Where does the Quran say it's correcting the previous scriptures? Where? Well, not everyone. It was a simple question. Chapter, verse. That's how you answer. Chapter such and such, verse so-and-so says the Quran is correcting the previous scriptures. That's all you need to do. Instead, in context. What in context? The Christian ladies are right. The Quran says it over and over and over again that it's confirming the previous scriptures. There isn't one verse where the Quran says it's correcting the previous scriptures. You're saying something the Quran never says. They're telling you what the Quran actually says, and your response is, well, not everyone can read the Quran. Meaning, I guess, these ladies, because they actually... what do you mean by reading the Quran? You mean... you apparently think that if you absorb the Dawah script and you just mindlessly recite it and it has no connection to the Quran, then you're being accurate. But if you actually read the Quran and you see it doesn't line up with the Dawah script at all... then shame on you. Not everyone can read the Quran. She apparently means something like that.
Yeah. I would really love to see this debate on multiple channels, repeated on mainstream media, repeated on talk shows in the mornings, on American TV and everywhere else, repeated. I think this is a very, very great example of the contrast between Islam and Christianity, and I would love to see this again and again.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's just so, again, the Muslim women don't know anything about Christianity or the Bible, and they don't know anything about Islam.
Yeah.
It's the Christian women correcting the Muslim women on just what the Quran says. And when they say, it never says what you're claiming it says, ever. Prove us wrong. The response is, well, not everyone can read the Quran. It's, so difficult. Let's see where she goes with this. I guess what she's going to say, you have to go to scholars or something and get what they say, even though this is a woman who will gladly throw out Sahih hadiths about her prophet. But is she going to say we have to go to later scholars who are making things up? This is interesting stuff. Let's see.
Your comment or question was of two things to answer. Not everyone can interpret the Quran, and not
sad.
everyone can read and understand a particular verse out of context. This is very hard. Even Muslims, we can't do that. We had to refer to exegesis and
scholars
and books that explain to us why this was given at this time. So taking one verse out of context to
dozens and dozens of verses, lady, not one.
Justify that the Quran corrects or doesn't correct, I don't think it is a reliable thing to say, with all due respect. So therefore...
Translation, I can't show you a verse where the Quran says it's been corrupt. I mean, it says it's correcting the previous scriptures. I can't do it. So I'm going to go on this. I'm just going to say, well, you can't understand the Quran.
Ain't no such thing.
This is bad.
To understand... it's not a simple thing to understand where's that verse coming from and what it aimed to do. So in terms of correction, like I said before, the core message the Quran agrees on. There's a line, there's something. Jesus is a prophet, Moses is a prophet. We believe in 125 prophets. There's the core message as Muslims. We believe it is there in the Torah and the New Testament, but we believe the little things because of none.
She just said we believe in 125 prophets.
Really? That's it?
I think that's what she just said.
I have to see, because that would make no sense. Hang on.
Explain to us why this was given at this time. So taking one verse out of context to justify that the Quran corrects or doesn't correct, I don't think it is a reliable thing to say, with all due respect. So therefore, to understand... it's not a simple thing to understand where's that verse coming from and what it aimed to do. So in terms of correction, like I said before, the core message the Quran agrees on. There's a line, there's something. Jesus is a prophet, Moses is a prophet. We believe in 125 prophets. There's the core message
you're right.
as Muslims. We believe it is
chapter and verse, lady, or hadith, anything.
You believe in 125 prophets?
125. Good to know. We are learning all kinds of things about Islam right now. But keep in mind, only having one prophet is better than having 125 prophets. So you're better off with just one, because then he can't contradict all the other ones, right?
There in the Torah and the New Testament, but we believe the little things. Because of non-consistency and multiple authors, there are a lot of room to be corrupted.
Interesting, but I do think it's unfair to characterize me as saying
Not
that.
you, just
well,
the
you know, to
idea
say that
of
I just
interpreting
right,
the
but
Quran.
that I just grabbed one verse.
Yeah,
There's a multitude of verses that talk
again.
about the Quran confirming the previous scripture, and there aren't any verses that say that the Quran corrects the previous verses. So
So I have
Can
to
you
step in.
quote
I
a
have to
verse
step
that
in
says
and continue the conversation here, because we are talking about this, and this also
think
does
that's it.
happen with Christians as well. So I want to hear from the Christians in the sense that many people do say the
is a
Bible
different
has
topic.
been changed, it's been corrupted over time. How do you respond to that? And I'm also going to give you an example. I'm just going to tie these two questions together.
Interesting. We'll stop there because it looks like they're going on to a different topic. That sucks
Did the-
because they were cooking them on the Islamic dilemma, and yeah, it sucks that
Yeah.
they. Yeah, I don't know. I'll watch it. I'll watch it later and see if they were somehow able to bring it back afterwards. But interesting stuff, man.
I must say that the Christian side humiliated the Muslim side. So they obviously dominated the debate. The Muslim side looks pretty bad. I'm not sure how these people were picked. You know, it's like, do they just put out an advert for Muslim women to come on and to represent themselves or something, and then these are like, oh yeah, I would really love to do that, so let me go on there. I'm not sure how this came into being, but the Muslim women did a very, very good job at representing Islam accurately. So I would say that not accurately as in all the knowledge, but rather in representing the spirit of Islam. I think they represented it in terms of knowledge and in terms of logic and thinking. They presented it quite well, and they did show that Islam is very intellectually behind, and that the Christian side is far ahead. So they did terribly, and I would say that I would love to see this debate happen again and again everywhere. And just to point out, this woman actually said that Muslims believe in 125 prophets. Muslims believe in 25 prophets. There are 25 prophets mentioned.
There are 25. If she's Quran only, the Quran mentions 25 prophets by name. If you're going outside, then you'll see 124,000 or 144,000 and stuff like this. But that's the point.
there's
It's
no
pick what you're going with. You're going to get I have no idea where 125 came from.
125 comes out of nowhere. It's like it's neither the prophets mentioned in the Quran, nor is it the prophets ever sent according to Muslim ideas. So it's just a completely made up number. And these Muslim women are just here saying whatever they want and just running with it, while the Christian side understands both Christianity and Islam. And I'm very, very happy to see that, really.
It is seriously interesting. So Ava says she stopped the debate just as it was getting good. I see lots of people saying she was rescuing the Muslims and things like that. She might have just been going, I need to get to. She has a list and she has a time, so she might have been saying, she might have been thinking, okay, we're spending too long on this. We got to get to the next point and stuff like that. But yeah, it is. Wow, everyone out there. Muslims, even you Muslims who are watching, the takeaway here should be: if you actually want to know what the Quran says, go to a Christian, go to these Christian ladies. They know it more. They know it more than Muslims do. Why is that? Why is that about your religion? Why is this weird thing where you have to go to non-Muslims to get the truth about your book? Why? It's the weirdest thing ever, man. Super weird.
It
All
is
right.
very, 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 very strange. Very strange. But I'm very, very glad to see this. Very, very happy to see this.
It's awesome to see
And
this.
Islam is having a very bad time, man. I don't know when it started going downhill, but several years ago it started. I think last year it started just going really, really downhill in terms of debates, and it hasn't stopped since then.
Yeah, there was major fall off. There were there used to be like too few Christians dealing with it, and you had so many Muslims who were just trained all their lives to attack Christianity and so on. And then the moment Christians actually started waking up and responding, Islam just went into the fetal position, and we're seeing it more and more. Nice. All right, let's take these last couple of super chats. We'll be out, and apparently we'll be getting back to more of this debate tomorrow. Remember the show Room Raider? That's the UK that's the UK right now with social media. No, I've never seen Room Raider. You know what that is, AP?
Room Raider? No.
Yeah, I heard a Tomb Raider. I never saw it, but I heard of it.
Everybody's heard of Tomb Raider.
The chickens will in fact defend KFC. Yeah, they will. We just saw it. I don't think they know what in the world they're talking about, and you can see her gestures like she's convincing herself more. It's wild stuff, man. I asked Grok, is a dog a Muslim's best friend? Answer, outside of Muhammad, a dog is a Muslim's best friend. Inside of Muhammad, it is al-Zut. What's wrong with you people, man? What are you laughing at, man? Hey, AP, check this out.
What?
Quit laughing about Zut jokes. Nicholas Cutt says, I left Islam 2 days ago. I publicly want to say Jesus is Lord.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Based.
Very based.
My profile pic, she covers head but displays her
arms. Yeah.
She was only there to identify as a black Muslim. Yeah, she talked. She made one good point and then destroyed it by accident. Wow, the Muslim lady threw a T-ball for the Islamic dilemma. Yeah, that's what's funny. I mean, ladies, you know this is the year of the Islamic dilemma, don't you? Don't you think you might have wanted to come a bit better prepared to respond to the Islamic dilemma? Candace Owens needs to be scrutinized. No, you can just believe everything she says. Good job educating your girls, Islam. It is seriously like, oh my goodness. You get these women and you just fill their heads with complete nonsense that cannot stand up to 5 seconds of scrutiny, and then you let them go face some Christian ladies who know Islam better than the Muslim women do. Bad idea. Bad idea. Why? You're going to have a lot of Muslim women watching this going, what's going on here? Why is this happening? We're told that Islam is the truth, and we got the haq and the hikmah. This is not supposed to be happening. Why are we losing?
Why don't we have the hikmah?
Magnifico says, doing some shorts of your streams. What's Sajid's YouTube handle so I can tag him? I think his channel is just called Sajid Lipam. Sajid, SAJIDLIPHAM, just like Lipham. Momo was a very inspirational woman of color. That's true. He's the best. You can't split Nigeria. BH will paratroop over the wall in solidarity with H. What? I don't know what that means. Oh, Boko Haram. Okay, I get it. YouTube wouldn't allow my message until I removed names and October 7th. Yeah, I don't like that about YouTube. Dawood, can you do a stream on medieval Christian philosophy like St. Augustine, and how did Thomas Aquinas view Islam? God bless you, brothers. Oh, Thomas Aquinas is pretty based on Islam. I don't know if I'll be doing any stream on medieval Christian philosophers.
Wait, what? Medieval Christian philosophy like St. Augustine? And how did Thomas Aquinas view Islam?
Thomas Aquinas thought Islam was pretty stupid.
That's a that's worlds apart, though. So
that is. What do you think of Muslims who are against mass migration? One of the outspoken anti-Islamic immigration activists in Japan is a famous Muslim woman. Yeah, you do.
Which one is that? The one that converted to Islam recently? Who's that?
Yeah, you do have people like that, and they basically understand, hey, there is a good place here, and I happen to know what will happen if you bring in a bunch of people from Pakistan and so on, and it will just ruin this place, and so don't do it. It's weird that they have that much common sense about Islam, but they still think it's true.
Who is the outspoken anti-Islamic immigration activist in Japan who is a famous Muslim woman?
The famous Muslim woman, Sushi Kamikaze Fujiyama Nipponichi. What? I just can't. This is before your time, but in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, let's see, first there was Glass Joe, then there was Von Kaiser, he was a German, and then there was Piston Honda, right, the Japanese dude. And if you were beating him, he got mad, and he would say Sushi Kamikaze Fujiyama Nipponichi.
Nice.
Which is just a bunch of random Japanese words strung together.
Yes.
It's kind of racist. It's kind of racist, but they were the ones making the game, so can you actually call them racist?
Yes.
Okay. Then we shall call them racist. She is wrong that Islam is peaceful and on Israel and Palestine. Who's wrong?
That Muslim woman from Japan.
Oh, okay. Y'all should hold a competition for the Zut movie posters and show the top 5 next stream. Well, we'd have to start getting them. But yeah, people should start making them and posting them, and then we can do something fun with them. Hope the RCMP doesn't show up at my door to push me around. Not the way the old Zut did with Momo, but it could get tense. What's the RCMP?
There are the police in Canada.
Oh, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Okay, yeah, I didn't know we were talking about Canada. It's good the AP is a expert on Canadian things. They should have invited Lily J to make this fair. Yeah, they could have invited 4 Lily J's. No, I was actually thinking it would be awesome to get like a panel of all these like reverts who start making TikTok videos and stuff about how they discover the truth. Yeah. Please, 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 please put them all together on a panel. Put them all together on a panel and put them up against a few Christian ladies. Watch what happens. They know exactly what's in it. They feign ignorance. No, I think they're actually ignorant. Have you guys seen Big John Steele on YouTube? He also does The Dilemma. Would love to see you guys collab. Yeah, I've had a bunch of people recommend Big John Steele. I haven't seen him on The Islamic Dilemma. That was a super sticker. Thank you for that. We have Uninspiring Philosophy. Just thought of the best Zut movie joke. Zut Busters. That's a good one. I cannot imagine what DOC would have done with these ladies. It would be a massacre. Oh yeah, that's why I said, gosh, get all the ladies together. Mary Harp, DOC, Hatun, Christina. Just have a regular show. Doesn't have to be Muslim women calling. Let the Dawa guys call in. They will get cooked. Absolutely cooked. Hey, this is Christina right here. Wasn't even paying attention to who it's from. It's Christina. She said, I cannot imagine what DOC would have done with these ladies. It would be a massacre.
That's funny.
Well, I have to say, if that channel, Dr. Daff, is doing regular debates, we might need to get DOC. We might need to get DOC on the panel. That will be awesome. That will be awesome. Fun times. Fun times. She is an Egyptian living in Japan. Interesting.
Oh. But you still haven't told us her name, so.
A Royal Canadian Mounted Police, not mounted like Zut. It's good the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are not mounted like Muhammad by the men of Al Zut. Good stuff. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Again, there's a link to the full debate. I don't know. If someone else doesn't do it, I'm assuming other people are going to be making videos and doing live streams about this debate, but there's still way more that I haven't seen. I wouldn't mind making a video just about the Islamic Dilemma section because that was good and already exposed Islam. But we'll see more of that tomorrow on AP's channel. What's up?
Why are people talking about Valentina Gomez?
Are they?
Yeah, I've been seeing her mentioned in that chat. Valentina Gomez. Yeah, I don't know.
What for?
I'm not sure why they're talking about my friend.
Valentina Gomez. I want to go see if anything happened. Valentina.
Okay, Christina, very, very nice to see you here, and it was a fantastic. It was
awesome.
a fantastic demonstration.
Awesome stuff. And I would absolutely love to see that this become a new thing. Christian women versus Muslim women debating and stuff. That's awesome stuff. Sad part is, are Muslim women going to want to participate after they just saw that? You might get some push for, these Muslim women just didn't know enough, so let's get these other Muslim women. Let's get Lily J. They always think if someone fails that someone else knows things better. No, that's pretty much what you're going to get from everyone. They don't get the Islamic dilemma. They get bad responses and so on. So anyway, yep. Fun times.
Valentina Gomez is like, she's only 26 years old. That's funny.
Yeah, she's a kid.
It gets kind of funny when you get older and then you realize that all the people that you in the past would have considered older, because you got used to just looking at people who are adults who do stuff as older people, but now you're getting old yourself. Then you realize that those people are much younger than you. It starts kind of feeling awkward, you know.
Yeah, getting old sucks. We know that, AP.
But she did say to me that she would love to do something for YouTube with me. That's what she said last time. And she said that without me asking. She said, "I want to do with you. I want to do something for your YouTube." She said, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
That's good. We'll do it on your channel because then you can get banned.
Yeah.
Should definitely do something before the election. That would just be hilarious. And here we have Gabriel saying, Momo's favorite movie, Zut Dark 30. That's a good one. You don't even know what that is. Zero Dark 30. Get it? Zero Dark 30 was the title of the movie. Zut Dark 30. They're dark. They're Zut. They're dark. And there's 30 of them. That's perfect. That's perfect, man. Anyway. All right, guys, make some movie posters. There's a reason for AI, and the only real purpose of AI is making movie posters modified for Al-Zut jokes. All right, everyone. Link to the full debate is in the description, and Lord willing, we'll be on AP's channel tomorrow going through more of that debate. Good times, good times. Dawa is crumbling. Catch y'all later.
Catch y'all.